Black technology, the super empire that spans 2 worlds. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 251, J36 finalized. A new round of testing shocked the entire network again. Dongda did not give Ame time to catch his breath, and made frequent moves. In just 2 weeks, near the end of the month, Xiao Yu posted a Weibo message about the Shenlong fighter that once again attracted the attention of countless people. It's settled. The Shenlong fighter is numbered J36. Seeing that the most discussed and concerned thing on the internet is when the J36 will be put into service, most people speculate that it will be put into service 10 years later. Not that long. 10 years is too long. How about 5 years? Still too long. It won't take that long. When exactly? I don't know. Anyway, it won't take 5 years. Another point that everyone is very concerned about is how many J36s will be put into service. Although I want to expose the news, the country doesn't allow me to say it, but I'll just take care of it. As soon as Xiao Yu's Weibo was released, it once again caused a sensation in the outside world, and the heat was raised again. Oh my god, does that mean we can see the J36 fighter jet in service within 5 years? Am I right? Doesn't that mean it will take no more than 6 years from the project approval to the service approval? A military fan was shocked when he saw the content of Xiao Yu's Weibo. You know, looking at countries all over the world, it is normal for their new fighter jets to take more than 10 years from the project approval to the service approval. This comparison is enough to show how fast the development efficiency of the Shenlong fighter project is, which is incredible. In fact, the entire time period from the project approval to the service approval is not 6 years, but 3 years, but Xiao Yu did not reveal the specific time, leaving the outside world in suspense. When it comes to military secrets, he can't say whatever he wants, but he communicated with the relevant units in advance to unify the caliber. Domestic military fans are so happy and excited. Xiao just said so it's basically stable. His words represent the most official and authoritative news, which is much more reliable than the revelations of some roadside uncles. Being able to complete a new fighter jet from project establishment to commissioning in such a short time is an unprecedented historical record, and even makes people feel too dreamy. However, many people questioned whether it could really be commissioned so quickly. Just 2 days later, the news of the Shenlong fighter's new round of flight tests and great success came out again, which shocked the outside world. The speed and efficiency were so fast that they greatly exceeded everyone's expectations. This time, the official blog of Avik Linfa E-Group released the video, which was released simultaneously on all platforms such as Bilibili and Douyin. It once again ignited the heat of the entire network and shocked the world again. Okay, I am getting more and more high profile, but I like it. A military fan opened Bilibili and clicked on the official account of Avik Linfa, and saw a new video uploaded yesterday, with a click-through rate of over 10 million. On this video website, a video with hundreds of thousands of views is considered a hot video. It reached 10 million views in one day, which can be called a hit among hits. This military fan clicked on one of the 2-minute and 30-second short videos. As soon as the video was played, he was shocked and said in amazement, "What? A bird's eye view from the Xiangong space station? Such a big deal." That's right, the final flight test of the J36 fighter jet was carried out in conjunction with the Xiangong space station in orbit in outer space. In addition, there were special low-orbit satellites involved, the purpose of which was to shoot some perspectives that could not be taken on the ground, including those that the accompanying J-20 fighter jets could not take. Because of this test, the J-36 fighter jet will truly reach near space. In the video, from the bird's eye view of the space station, the J-36 fighter jet flew from west to east at an altitude of 89 kilometers above the ground in near space, at a limit speed of more than Mach 8.33. There are also special subtitles to tell everyone watching the video the current speed and flight altitude of the J-36 fighter jet in the video. Wow! This is officially confirmed. It is really flying at a speed of more than Mach 8 and an altitude of 90 kilometers. This is about to touch the edge of outer space. Damn, the military fan was very excited. Then he couldn't help but exclaimed, "It can be regarded as a concrete display of the phrase white rainbow piercing the sun." The J-36 fighter is huge, more than a circle larger than the J-20, But in this video, due to the distance, it is only the size of the little fingernail on the screen, and the specific details cannot be seen clearly. However, the outline of the delta wing layout of the aircraft can still be clearly seen, like a triangle the size of the little fingernail. Behind it is a white track stretching for hundreds of kilometers, which fully reflects the phrase white rainbow piercing the sun. As the video played, the flight trajectory of the J-36 fighter jet from a bird's-eye view drew a U-shaped white rainbow that stretched 500 kilometers. The military fan watching the video shouted, "The War Propaganda Bureau is offline, and the War Terrorism Bureau is online." In recent years, especially since the first appearance of the 36th generation aircraft, he clearly felt that the country's muscle and ball strength are becoming more and more diligent. And each time is more high profile. If it were 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, such a video would not appear at all, but would be strictly confidential, and even if it existed, it would be covered up. But now it is not hidden at all, the scene is as big as it can be, and the shocking scene is as big as it can be. It even specially cooperated with the space station to shoot the video. In fact, the finalization test flight does not need to involve the space station at all. This move is to show muscles, which is essentially a deterrent. As a military fan, it is absolutely addictive and a feast for the eyes. After watching this video, he immediately clicked on another video, which is also the most played video among the several videos released, and currently has reached 18.65 million views. Wow! This is just like a blockbuster. The military fan was shocked when he saw the video. The first thing that appeared in this public video was the accompanying J-20 fighter, and 3 J-20 fighters were dispatched to accompany the flight, distributed in different spatial coordinates. In this video, according to the information prompted by the subtitles, the J-36 was flying at an altitude of about 10,000 meters. The video screen showed that the J-36 surpassed the J-20 fighter in super speed flight at an unparalleled speed. The picture was captured by another J-20 fighter at a farther distance using a wide-angle lens. This time, we chose to fly over a large area of dense clouds in order to have a relatively static cloud layer as a reference, so that the audience can better understand the visual impact brought by the fighter's flight speed. The J-20 fighter in super speed flight state flew above the clouds. With a reference of the clouds, its speed was shocking enough. After a while, a J-20 fighter jetted afar and took a wide-angle shot, and a J-20 and a J-36 were in the same frame, flying above the clouds, one after the other, with a distance of dozens of kilometers between them. The J-36 fighter jet closed the distance with a J-20 fighter jet in front of it at a speed visible to the naked eye. The distance between the two was more than 40 kilometers. It took less than half a minute for the J-20 fighter jet in the overspeed flight state to be overtaken. This is telling the world that even the J-20 fighter jet is crushed by the J-36 fighter jet. After surpassing, the two quickly open up the distance, and the distance of 10 kilometers was opened in just 5 or 6 seconds. Then, the camera switched to the perspective of the J-20 that was overtaken, and the video barrage was also refreshed with various high energy ahead. What the hell? What happened? With a whoosh, the J-36 fighter jet whizzed past from the side. The military fan watching the video was stunned. When the J-36 passed by from a close-up perspective, he couldn't see it clearly. It passed by like lightning, leaving only a white rainbow on the flight path. Chapter 252, King Bombs Come One After Another. The latest videos released by Avic Linfa E-Group this time were as exciting as a blockbuster movie, which made thousands of people, especially military fans, excited and called the Anti-Terrorist Bureau fully online. Many people played and watched them repeatedly, and many people called the sound of the engine sonic boom so beautiful and exciting that it would drive Ame crazy. These latest videos were also spread to the external network platform, including Xiao Yu's latest Weibo content, which was translated and moved to the external network. In addition, Dongda's Shenlong fighter had already attracted much attention on the external network, and this time it unexpectedly ignited the heat of the external network again. Netizens from all over the world on the external network expressed disbelief. The progress of the J-36 fighter was too fast to be imagined, especially Xiao Yu's Weibo was translated and moved to the external network. Foreign netizens were stunned to learn that this fighter would be put into service within the next 5 years, and they were incredible about Dongda's industrial capacity. Just when everyone was immersed in the latest J-36 final eye test flight video and constantly discussing and analyzing it, Xiao Yu suddenly updated a new dynamic message on his Weibo just one day later. After waking up from a sleep, I heard my assistant report that our second-generation electric propulsion engine had its first successful test run. Just last year, a genius in our team single-handedly solved a world-class problem, the three-dimensional Navier-Stokes equation and inviscid damping. This breakthrough also represents an important breakthrough in aerospace aerodynamics and fluid mechanics, solving the technical problems that have plagued us for a long time, and has played a huge role in the successful test run of our new generation of electric propulsion engines. Simpler structure, lower energy consumption, greater thrust, and of course, higher material strength are required. The second-generation electric propulsion engine also increased the flight speed of our sixth-generation aircraft booster from the current Mach 8 to Mach 15. What does this mean? If you fly a J-36 aircraft equipped with this new version of the engine, the distance between Beijing and Shanghai will only take no more than 3 minutes. In fact, the second-generation electric propulsion engine was successfully tested in November last year. Xiao Yu put a smoke bomb in this Weibo post. He broke the news at this critical juncture in response to the requirements of relevant national authorities. Such intensive release of bomb-level news is intended to deter America and prevent him from overturning the table. The intensive release of a series of bomb-level news is to destroy the confidence of the opponent and make them lose the heart to overturn the table. To ensure a smooth transition to the superconducting era in the next few years, the next few years will be a critical moment for superconducting materials to enable the upgrading of major technology industries. At this moment, a relatively stable environment is needed, and changes in the external environment cannot interrupt the superconducting upgrade. That's why they will show off their muscles and deter the entire Western world. Xiao Yu's Weibo also came with a short video of the successful test run of the second-generation electric propulsion engine in the laboratory of the research base. Once his Weibo was released, the netizens who had just woken up were collectively blown up again. What? There are still masters. This, Duo Xiao, Ward Mayor, soaring to Mach 15? Don't say that America will go crazy if he knows it. I am going crazy now. Things that I dare not even think about have been successfully tested. I have a premonition that the news will spread to the outside world, and the sky will fall again in all countries of the world, especially in AMA. This acceleration, people can't bear it. I guess the materials of the aircraft body are enough to drink a pot. The engine materials must be enough. Covering face JPG, speed and acceleration are two different physical quantities. Acceleration can be achieved slowly, not all at once. You are still being carried by the Earth to drive supersonic in the universe every day, and I haven't seen you being crushed into a meat pie by 20 grams. This scream is too exciting. I can't imagine what it would feel like to install this engine in my electric car. Funny JPG, domestic military fans, I can't believe that I can eat so well recently. It's incredible, my god, 15 times the speed of sound, that is, flying 5.1 kilometers in 1 second, I still play in the market. Haha, when foreigners say that our engines are not good, we will do this to make them despair. It's outrageous, it's really outrageous. The first generation of fighter jets just made their maiden flight not long ago, and it will take several years before they are put into service. The second generation engine has been successfully tested. It's so scary, but I like it. The news was almost immediately transmitted to the internet. Netizens from all over the world saw the latest authoritative news from the University of East China, that the 15 Mach fighter engine was released, and the short video released by Xiao Yu of the successful test in the laboratory had been moved to the internet. Relevant institutions in various countries were dumbfounded. Is the University of East China crazy? What is this for? Netizens from various countries shouted on YouTube, TikTok and other online platforms that the sky's about to fall again. Especially the netizens of AMA who are completely in bumbu, drug. How come the University of East China comes up with something new every day? We can't keep up at all. If I were a student of the University of East China, I would be so excited to see that the country has so many advanced technologies that I can't sleep. Once again, I felt panic and uneasiness. Being surpassed by us meant that all of magnesium grasshopper missiles had become scrap metal. 99% of the missiles in the world could not reach this speed. Guess who has the other 1%? Dongda's development in the past year was really too fast. Did they have a technological explosion? Why did they appear one after another? My heart couldn't stand it these days. What advantage does magnesium grasshopper have if it continues like this? We must take some measures. It might be too late if we delay. As soon as we took a nap, they took off directly. I was so angry, but man, it was too late. What happened? It turns out that they have been hiding so many secrets. If it weren't for the sudden, frequent and intensive display this time, I would not believe that they have advanced to this level. Are they undergoing a technological revolution? Why do I feel like a sealed monster has broken the seal? Why is there a technological explosion? Have they entered the next industrial revolution? I can't accept the news that they are ahead. At this moment, the people of Dongda suddenly did not love peace so much. I saw that they suddenly had a sense of oppression, that they didn't take everyone seriously. They seemed to despise the entire Western world. At this moment, looking at the whole world, from the top leaders of countries around the world to the people of countries around the world, everyone was shocked by the recent series of operations of Dongda, especially Xiao Yu's recent revelation that the 15 Mach fighter engine came out, which gave them an already great shock to their hearts. The mainstream media in the West were all collectively speechless. Dongda's recent operations really scared a lot of people. Even the ignorant and fearless little monkey, Emma, was behind it to instigate it. It dared to go up before, but now it really doesn't dare to go up, and it can't go up at all. Xiao Yu monkey is also afraid. Some of the Western ZKs who were originally happy and cheerful have also become honest, waiting for Emma to respond. Response? Not at all. Emma is now in a state of confusion, with a screaming echo of the J-36 fighter engine in his mind, and his head is buzzing. Just as the sixth-generation aircraft was being strangled by the export control measures of the University of International Business and Economics, the news about the sixth-generation aircraft of the University of International Business and Economics became more and more shocking. It has been revealed that it has reached a speed of Mach 15, and this is just the information that has been exposed. Who knows how many more terrifying things the University of International Business and Economics has hidden. Chapter 253, Promoting the Establishment of Individual Power Armor Equipment. A more serious problem that AMA is worried about is that according to the principle of displaying one generation, keeping secret one generation, testing one generation, and developing one generation for the development of military equipment of Dongda, now so many advanced technologies have been publicly displayed, and there must be more advanced confidential technologies, and even the new generation of space weapons may have entered the research and development stage. From AMA's perspective, this series of operations by the opponent is indeed frustrating. After so many king bombs were thrown out intensively, at least in the civilian community of the external network, many European and American netizens began to call for peace, and their eyes were extremely clear. Even the Sangen netizen, who has always been ordinary and confident, said that he could not keep up with the rhythm of Dongda at all this time, so he gave up, and even felt that it would be more advantageous to compare with Baki C-10. It is no exaggeration to say that Dongda's current prestige index is soaring at a visible speed around the world. At a meeting of the UN General Assembly 2 days later, Dongda called out Xiao Yu by name. He was originally in an arrogant posture, but when he was interrupted by Dongda, he immediately became restless and quickly picked up the translator, fearing that he would miss something and make a major misjudgment. The current international situation is very delicate. In the Middle East, between Xiao Yu and Xiaoba and Dongao, these two major regional hotspots, whether it is Afghanistan or Europe, or the entire Western countries, are timid, as if they are afraid of something or worried about something. In particular, Liao Mei has shown an extremely strong strategic buttocks power. He was ridden in the face by the Lakers brother in various ways, but he just didn't fight back. He has become a ninja turtle. Dongda was surprised by his strong endurance. The biggest reason why the Western countries are so timid is that Dongda still hasn't moved, which is too deterrent. As the biggest beneficiary of the two wars, AMA knows best who is the last to enter, and the last to make a move will reap the whole game. Dongda is sitting on the Diaoyote with a posture of watching you play, and Liao Mei dare not make a move easily. But Dongda can sit on the Diaoyote so steadily, which is based on the support of solid hard power, otherwise it will not be able to sit still. And the fact is that Dongda sits there quietly, without any action, with a posture of watching with cold eyes, and others dare not act rashly. This is strength. When the outside world was in a sensation, Xiao Yu no longer paid attention to the public opinion of the outside world after breaking the news that the second-generation electric propulsion engine test was successful. The deterrence plan has come to an initial end, and the effect is quite good. It has not only dealt a great blow to the opponent's self-confidence, but also greatly improved the self-confidence of its own people. Many people have even expanded from self-confidence to the degree of arrogance. It seems that except for their own country, everyone in the world is a swindler, nothing special. But it is also reasonable. With a recent series of operations by Dongda University, anyone would be so proud of it. People who don't know would think it was to prepare for the fight against the Trisolarans, the headquarters of Avik Linfei Group. This morning, the military came to the company again, and several other people from relevant national units also came. Because Xiao Yu wrote a report saying that he had a new idea. The national level immediately attached great importance to it. With the Shenlong project as a precedent, Xiao Yu now said that he wanted to have a new idea, and the level of attention was incomparable. The report written by Xiao Yu was about the exoskeleton-armed power armor equipped by the army. He systematically proposed the concept of the equipment in the report, and bluntly said that he wanted to apply for this project, hoping that the relevant national authorities would approve it. But at this moment, the person in charge of the military asked, "Comrade Xiao Yu, is the plan you proposed for equipping individual soldiers with power armor in the army economically and technically feasible?" Xiao Yu smiled and said, "I personally think it is just around the corner and can be expected in the future. Robots and automated equipment, I have been working on them for many years when I founded Lingjing Technology. High-tech equipment such as individual power armor is also what I have always hoped to achieve. Nowadays, with breakthroughs in materials, the hardware level is no longer a big problem. AI at the software level is also developing rapidly, and the power problem is no longer a technical pain point. We have already managed to convert aircraft from aviation fuel to batteries and electric drive systems, so a small individual power armor is not a problem." Having said that, Xiao Yu paused for a moment, and added concisely, "In short, many key core technology reserves are in place, and it is more a matter of integration and optimization." These words greatly excited the people present, especially the military. One of the people from the military this time was from the army system, and he saw that his brothers in the Air Force and Navy were eating better than each other. The Navy is busy launching the Type 055 and the electromagnetic catapult aircraft carrier. The Air Force has had the J-20 for a few years, and the J-36 has come out. The J-20 has become Mrs. New. Only the Army is still playing with cat cars and mechanical dogs. Although the upgrades of these equipment are also very good and have significantly improved the combat effectiveness of the Army, I am afraid of comparing goods. I thought they were quite good before, but now they are not so good. Compared with the J-36 fighter bomber and the Type 055-10-000-ton destroyer, it is really not good enough. Xiao Yu proposed the unilateral power armor. According to his description in the material report, the bigwigs of the army saw this military equipment that combines multiple high technologies, and their eyes began to light up. They wanted to approve the project immediately and let Xiao Yu do it. Such equipment is still considered to be a military equipment of the future and difficult to achieve in the short term, but Xiao Yu suddenly said this, "That's different. If the epoch-making product of the J-36 fighter can be made, he must not be talking nonsense when he said that the power armor can be made. The bigwigs of the army must be restless. The advantages of individual power armor equipment are self-evident. First of all, it greatly improves combat capability. Power armor assists soldiers in movement through the power system, which can significantly improve the soldier's load-bearing capacity. It can integrate a variety of heavy weapons, such as multi-link missile launch boxes and small Gatling machine guns. This greatly improves the firepower output of individual soldiers, and can even confront light armored forces head-on. The mobility is also greatly improved. Power armor can enhance the movement speed and endurance of soldiers, allowing them to move quickly in complex terrain. Then there is a significant improvement in protection capabilities. Soldiers wearing full coverage power armor are basically immune to attacks from light weapons and explosive fragments. They also have nuclear, biological and chemical defense capabilities, which can protect soldiers from the threat of chemical and biological weapons. Power armor can also greatly improve battlefield perception and intelligence. The built-in camera, infrared detection, and many other mobile sensor arrays can collect environmental data in real time and process it efficiently, providing real-time situational awareness information for soldiers performing combat missions. This is particularly important in reconnaissance, anti-sniping and urban street fighting. Its advanced intelligent control system can accurately execute the soldier's intentions and achieve a high degree of human-machine collaborative operation. The combination of powerful AI technology and human-machine interactive interface allows soldiers to operate power armor more naturally, just like swinging their arms. Chapter 254, A Proper Army Card. The battlefield survivability will also be greatly improved. Power armor can share the load for soldiers, reduce physical energy consumption, and maintain a high level of combat effectiveness for a long time. The sensors installed inside can monitor the soldier's vital signs in real time, such as pulse, blood pressure, heart rate, respiratory rate, etc., and transmit the data to the rear in real time for timely treatment. Power armor can not only be used for frontline combat, but also for logistics, transportation, rescue and other tasks, with multifunctional attributes. In addition, it can greatly improve the independence of individual combat. The high firepower, high mobility and strong protection capabilities of power armor enable individual soldiers to complete a variety of tasks independently and reduce dependence on the team. Different weapons and equipment can also be configured according to task requirements to play a variety of battlefield roles, so that individual soldiers can be competent for reconnaissance, assault, fire support, etc. The sensor array and communication system of power armor can transmit the battlefield information of soldiers to the command center in real time, which is convenient for commanders to conduct precise command and deployment, greatly enhancing information sharing capabilities and command and control. It can also greatly enhance the psychological advantages of soldiers. Soldiers wearing power armor will gain stronger self-confidence and security psychologically because they know they have strong equipment support. In addition, the appearance and powerful capabilities of power armor can also bring additional psychological deterrence to the enemy, giving them a psychological advantage before they even fight. In short, single-soldier power armor integrates a variety of high technologies, which can greatly enhance the soldier's combat capability, survivability, and battlefield adaptability. This is an important development direction for future military equipment. Xiao Yu looked at the personnel from several military units present and said, however, the cost of power armor is still a bit expensive. The calculated estimated data shows that it will not be less than 20 million yuan per set. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is a sky-high price for individual soldier equipment. As soon as these words came out, the person from the army system heard this and immediately laughed and said, this cost estimate is indeed not cheap, but it is not so expensive that it cannot be equipped. With our country's economic foundation, it can support its equipment. Xiao Yu immediately said, but if each combined brigade is equipped with a power armor combat battalion, we will not be able to afford it. As soon as he said this, the military personnel present looked at each other in surprise for a while. They did not expect that Xiao Yu's idea was even more radical than theirs. He actually wanted to equip each combined brigade with a power armor combat battalion. After a moment, Xiao Yu looked around at everyone and said, considering the issue of economic costs, I have a new solution here that can significantly reduce budget expenditures while not reducing combat effectiveness, and can even enhance it. As soon as the voice fell, the people present suddenly became curious, and one of the military personnel immediately said, what do you mean? Xiao Yu said bluntly, human-machine mixing, that is, through wearable manned power armor, mixed with unmanned pure intelligent power armor. For example, 10 to 15 people are mixed with 100 unmanned intelligent power armor combat units to form a combat company, and the cost of unmanned intelligent power armor combat units is much lower than that of wearable ones. It is estimated that the cost will not exceed 4 million. After a pause, Xiao Yu added, the reason why wearable power armor is expensive is that it costs a greater price to protect the lives of soldiers, but pure mechanical units as an industrial consumable do not have this concern. Everyone nodded, agreeing with Xiao Yu's point of view. The latter continued, because it is unmanned, its internal space does not need to be occupied by human bodies, so many other elements can be filled. Adding more batteries will give a higher endurance, adding more ammunition will give a stronger firepower output, or it can carry other battlefield supplies. Obviously, this is a huge support for the other 10 to 15 soldiers, which can provide them with longer continuous combat capabilities. When the power armor batteries they wear are exhausted, there is a pure mechanical power armor combat unit next to them, who can immediately take out a fully charged battery from his body to replace it. Supplies such as water and food can also be carried by pure mechanical power armor combat units. After all, A combat company has 100 pure mechanical power armor combat units, while there are only 10 to 15 human soldiers. Each human soldier is assigned 7 to 10 pure mechanical power armor combat units to form a combat team. Whether it is weapons, ammunition supplies, water, food, etc., this human soldier can put them on the pure mechanical power armor combat unit. How to allocate resources depends on the needs of the combat mission. The people present were all amazed after hearing Xiao Yu's plan. They roughly calculated in their minds and found that the cost of such a human-machine mixed plan was fully capable of supporting the troops to equip themselves in an organized manner. Not only is it relatively cost-effective, but it can also further enhance combat capabilities. If they are all wearable power armors with people, not only will the cost be higher, but the sustained combat capability will also be weakened. Otherwise, greater logistical support will have to be provided, which will cost more. With this human-machine mixed plan, the human soldiers of a combat company are streamlined to 10 to 15 people. First of all, the demand for personnel is reduced by 7 or 8 times, and the logistical pressure on people is greatly reduced, at least the medical logistics pressure is greatly reduced. Because the number of personnel and troops invested has been sharply reduced, the absolute number of casualties on the battlefield will inevitably decrease, and it is even easy to create a zero casualty record. As for the battle damage of pure mechanical power armor, it is just an industrial consumable, and only the economic account can be calculated. At this time, a non-military unit personnel present suddenly said, "In this case, wouldn't it be better if the entire combat company all adopted this kind of pure mechanical power armor combat unit?" When Xiao Yu was about to speak, the military person said first, "I don't agree with this. On the ever-changing battlefield, the role of humans is still incomparable to that of machines. This kind of human-machine mixed plan can complement each other's strengths and weaknesses." As soon as the voice fell, Xiao Yu said in agreement, "That's right, humans can exert subjective initiative, which is a trait that machines do not have, especially on the ever-changing battlefield." Xiao Yu smiled and added, "Rather than saying that this is a mixed human-machine combat company, it is better to say that it is a combat team with super firepower and combat capability. It's just that each soldier in the team is equipped with several pure mechanical power armor combat units to assist him in performing combat tasks." After this discussion and communication, the Army's desire for this new type of power armor equipment was simply concealed. Not only can it bring about a huge improvement in combat effectiveness, it can also be regarded as the Army's trump card. "Comrade Xiao Yu, can your team really make this equipment?" The military personnel from the Army system could not help asking this question again. When Xiao Yu heard this, he looked at the other party and said with great certainty, "Yes, it's just a matter of time, 2 to 3 years at the shortest, 5 years at the longest." As soon as this was said, the other party was immediately very excited and said repeatedly, Okay. Xiao Yu's clear statement can be said to have surprised and delighted him. He only needs to wait for another 2 to 3 years to see this new equipment, and at most 5 years, which greatly exceeded their expectations. With a J-36 case in front, the people present believed that Xiao Yu could really do it, and he was not just talking nonsense. Chapter 255, Progress of Skytrain Project. After this interview with Xiao Yu, the military personnel left with satisfaction after having enough understanding. The probability of the armed power armor project being approved is almost 100%. The Army will certainly do its best to promote this matter. The installation of this new equipment will greatly enhance the combat power of the Army. Next, we will wait for the documents. After approval, the project can be officially established. In February, the J-36 fighter jet of Avik Linfa still maintained a good popularity on major internet platforms. Compared with the hot atmosphere here, the capital market has been wailing all over the place since the beginning of the year, and it has been falling to new lows all the way. In February, it is still accelerating the fall. The Shanghai Composite Index once fell to more than 2,600 points. Lingjing Technology also adjusted accordingly. It had previously risen to 212.22 yuan. On Monday, February 5th, it fell to 160.08 yuan during the session, and once fell by more than -4.5 percentage points. The adjustment range of this round also reached -24.57%, and the company's market value also fell back to 13.89 trillion. However, at the end of the trading day, Lingjing Technology stock price rebounded strongly. The stock price of Lingjing Technology finally closed up plus 0.23% at 168.04 yuan, and the market value rose to 14.58 trillion yuan. If the entire A-share market had not been in a slump, Lingjing Technology would have likely set a new record high. The next day, Tuesday, news came out that the village chief had been replaced. On that day, the stock market ushered in a retaliatory rebound, and Lingjing Technology, which was wrongly killed, also ushered in a strong upward rebound with a big positive line. On that day, the company's stock price rose by plus 11.27%, closing at 186.98 yuan, and the net increase in market value during the day exceeded 1.6 trillion yuan, pushing the total market value to 16.23 trillion yuan. After this big positive line, in the following days of this month, the stock price of Lingjing Technology showed a fluctuating upward trend, but there was still considerable pressure at the integer mark of 200 yuan. Xiao Yu did not pay much attention to the capital market and the stock price trend of his own company. After entering February, while waiting for the application approval of the Power A project, he was also paying attention to another important project of Avic Linfei. That is the trillion-dollar air rail train project, which has made new progress. Wednesday morning, Linzhou City. Xiao Yu came to the location of the air rail train line 0, which is near the company's new headquarters park. The line is 13.59 kilometers long and is mostly experimental. It is most suitable to be located near the company's new headquarters park because it is easy to plan and more efficient. At this moment, not only Xiao Yu came, but also several important leaders including the top leader of the city came, because the first test run of the air rail train was to be carried out today. The efficiency is 2 months faster than I expected. Is it okay? Xiao Yu, who was at the experimental hub center, turned his head and looked at a middle-aged man who was the person in charge of the project. No problem, everything is going very smoothly, he said affirmatively, then glanced at the city leader next to him and added with a smile, of course. Such high efficiency is inseparable from the strong support of Linzhou City. The green light should be turned on as much as possible, this is true. The leaders of Linzhou City are very concerned about this project. In fact, they are the ones who most expect high efficiency. Only by putting it into use as soon as possible can they enjoy this political achievement during their tenure. At this time, a technician came over and said to the person in charge, the preparations have been completed, and we can enter the trial operation test phase. Just 11 days ago, Zhongguo CRRC Corporation delivered the first superconducting suspended air rail standing car for trial operation and delivered it to Linzhou. There are a total of 7 train carriages. As one of the strategic partners, Zhongguo CRRC is responsible for the whole vehicle manufacturing of the train carriages and the laying of magnetic tracks in this project. It already has a complete vehicle manufacturing production line, so it is not surprising that it is efficient. At present, only a batch of test vehicles have been built, and large-scale mass production has not been carried out. Zhongguo CRRC has taken an order for 702 air rail train carriages, which is just the beginning. Xiao Yu smiled and said, I caught up with it. Let's go and take a test ride to experience the riding experience firsthand. As soon as these words came out, everyone present couldn't help but change their faces slightly, and the person in charge was shocked when he heard Xiao Yu's words, and hurriedly said, Mr. Xiao, this is not in our plan. For safety reasons, you should watch it from the hub center. He was really scared. Xiao Yu is now a national treasure. What if something unexpected happens during the test, and the air rail train falls? What if he has an accident? No one present can bear this responsibility. However, Xiao Yu's sudden decision was not a reckless act, because at this moment, he was not the original body, but an identical organic body. But outsiders are completely unaware of this black technology. Except for Xiao Yu, no one else on the planet knows about it, so they would never think of it as a substitute. After a moment, Xiao Yu suddenly looked at him and asked, Are you saying it's not safe enough? The person in charge said quickly, That's not the case. Xiao Yu said briefly, Then it's over. The person in charge said quickly, But Mr. Xiao, don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of 1. Everyone present also tried to dissuade him. Xiao Yu immediately said, I have made up my mind. If none of us have confidence, how can we convince passengers that your sky train is safe? I must take the lead. After this, everyone saw that they could not persuade him. The person in charge was hesitant to speak, and he complained in his heart, but he could only do so. Several city leaders who came here did not actually plan to take a test ride, but just watch from outside, but Xiao Yu got on, and they had no choice but to follow him. Now the whole project team is even more nervous. If something unexpected happens, the consequences will be disastrous. The person in charge quickly picked up the intercom and started working, greatly strengthening the safety measures. Even ambulances and medical staff were arranged to remedy the situation in the first place. About 20 minutes later, Xiao Yu and his party arrived at the platform area of the hub center. A 7-carriage SkyTrain came into Xiao Yu's sight. Its appearance was like a streamlined silver dragon. The surface of the car body was covered with smooth alloy materials, which could automatically adjust the transparency and reflectivity according to the light. A seemingly thin blue halo was suspended at the bottom of the train. It was the core of superconducting suspension technology. The zero-resistance magnetic field resonated with a ground magnetic track. The train was suspended at a height of about 5 meters from the ground without contacting any entity. At this moment, Xiao Yu paused for a moment in the platform area, looked at the appearance of the train car, and nodded with satisfaction. The appearance was very futuristic. "Let's go." Xiao Yu took the lead in entering the first carriage, and then 20 to 30 people got on the train one after another. Most of them were security personnel, so that they could protect Xiao Yu and other important people in the first place in case of accidents. After entering the carriage, Xiao Yu randomly chose a seat to sit down. The interior of the carriage was spacious and bright. The seats were made of memory alloy, which could automatically adjust the shape according to the passenger's body shape to provide the most comfortable support. The lights on the top of the carriage were soft and warm. The walls of the carriage were inlaid with transparent graphene displays, which could display the speed, position and surrounding environment information of the train in real time. Xiao Yu took a rough look and nodded immediately. "It's really good. The sky-high price of more than 540 million for a carriage is worth it." In terms of the cost structure of the air rail carriage, room temperature superconducting materials accounted for more than 80%. Even if this cost is removed, it is not cheap. The effect of the finished product made Xiao Yu very satisfied. This air rail carriage is definitely the most technologically advanced among all the train carriages in the world. Of course, it is also the most expensive. Chapter 256, Trial Run Experience. The price of each section of the SkyTrain carriage reached 541 million yuan. The total price of this train of 7 carriages is 3.787 billion yuan. The cost of a J-20 fighter is about 700 million yuan, which can still save 200 to 300 million yuan for 5 J-20 fighters. In a sense, the superconducting floating train can appear so quickly because of Xiao Yu's forced breakthrough. Because in a short period of time, the financial resources of other cities cannot follow suit. Only the rich financial situation of Linzhou City can support such an expensive cost. The investment in this project is at the trillion level. Linzhou City has no intention of recovering the cost at all. This plan has been made since the initial establishment of the project, because after it is officially put into operation in the future, its ticket price will be the same as that of ordinary subways, or even cheaper. The starting price is 2 yuan. And this price is the same within 5 kilometers. The fare is calculated by segmentation according to mileage, with an increase of 1 yuan for every 5 kilometers. Specifically, the fare for 0-5 kilometers is 2 yuan, the fare for 5 to 10 kilometers is 3 yuan, the fare for 10 to 15 kilometers is 4 yuan, the fare for 15 to 20 kilometers is 5 yuan, the fare for 20-25 kilometers is 6 yuan, the fare for more than 25 kilometers is 7 yuan. The overall plan of Linzhou City is to cover the entire city with 22 lines, with an average length of about 30 kilometers per line. Ticket purchase methods include physical ticket swiping cards to enter the station, including one-way tickets, air rail cards, student cards, welfare tickets, public transportation cards, elderly travel cards, military disability cards, and disability assistance cards. In addition, you can also scan the QR code to enter the station, supporting Zhifubei ride code, Yunshanfu ride code, and Weeks in Many program ride code. With such a cheap fare, it is simply a fantasy to want to recover the investment cost by selling tickets. Even the cost of daily operations is enough, and Linzhou City needs additional funding to maintain operations. The biggest significance of the SkyRail train project that can appear so quickly is, first, to enhance the image of Linzhou City, and second, Xiao Yu provides a theoretical basis for reducing costs in the future through large-scale commercial use for the popularization of room temperature superconducting materials. At present, the cost of a carriage is more than 500 million yuan. In a short period of time, only Linzhou City can afford it nationwide. But at this moment, the floating train that Xiao Yu tried has slowly started. The blue halo at the bottom of the train flickered, and an invisible force slowly pushed the train forward. There was no roar of traditional trains, only a slight whistling sound of airflow. Superconducting levitation makes the train seem to get rid of the shackles of gravity and fly lightly on the track. It was seen that its speed was getting faster and faster, but the carriage was extremely stable. Xiao Yu and others could hardly feel any bumps. It was so stable that people could hardly feel it moving. Only the city scenery that quickly passed by the window was used as a reference to let the people in the carriage know that the train was moving forward. The occasional acceleration only brought a slight sense of pushback. Outside the hub station, the floating train has left the station and is speeding above the green belt in the middle of the newly built highway. Such a scene gives contemporary people a very strong visual shock. During the trial run today, many citizens came to watch nearby. When seeing the scene of this train flying all the way above the green belt of the highway main road, the nearby citizens immediately shouted, "Oh my God, a train without wings can actually fly." A young passerby said in shock, "I can't believe it, science fiction has once again become reality. This highway main road is an infrastructure built together with the construction of the new headquarters park. There is not much traffic at present, and this section of the route is temporarily closed." The floating train is speeding at a height of 5 meters above the ground, but just below it, under the green belt, a magnetic track is actually laid. After the laying of the magnetic track, the green belt is covered above the magnetic track. Since the magnetic track is completely covered by the green belt, the floating train actually runs along this magnetic track, but it looks as if this floating train has escaped the constraints of gravity and the magnetic track, and is just suspended in the air. In the control center, engineers stared at the data displayed on the screen. The temperature is stable and the superconducting system is running well. An engineer with black-framed glasses leaned forward and stared at the temperature data area on the screen. After confirming that it was correct, he turned around and reported to his colleagues around him. The speed is within the predetermined range, and the magnetic track sensing is normal. Another engineer with short hair, while comparing the plan in his hand, looked at the speed and magnetic track sensing data feedback that kept jumping on the screen, and there was a feeling of relief in his tone. At this time, all the members in the control center were filled with a tense and excited atmosphere. The tension was because the big boss, including several important leaders of Linzhou City, were on the train for a test ride, and the excitement was the current data feedback, and the trial run was very good. There was a camera in the train compartment where Xiao Yu was, and the control center could also see the real-time picture inside. The project leader saw the screen. Xiao Yu was talking to several leaders of Linzhou City, and took out his mobile phone to take photos and short videos, as if he wanted to post on Weibo. Several people nodded from time to time, with satisfied expressions on their faces. This made the project leader feel relieved, but he did not completely relax. As long as the big boss was still on the car, it meant that the potential risks were not completely eliminated. At the same time, when the floating train was being tested here, in the capital market, Zhongguo's stock suddenly began to rise and quickly hit the daily limit. In just 5 or 6 minutes, the increase of plus 10.00% hit the daily limit, and the market value reached 722.557 billion yuan. Soon after, the stock bar comment area also discussed the news of the trial operation of the Linzhou floating train, and even photos taken appeared in the comment area. A few minutes later, Kaliansh Telecom also pushed a quick news about this matter, and the popularity index of Zhongguo's stock also rose rapidly. The market value of this stock had previously reached the highest mark of 900 billion yuan, and the stock price once reached 32 yuan, not far from the historical high in 2015, but then it entered the adjustment stage with the market. Today, with this positive news and the rebound of the market index, the stock easily closed the limit and showed a trend of entering the third wave of the market. Zhongguo won the super large order of Linzhou City's trillion yuan Skyrail train, which made this stock usher in an epic reversal. Last year, the lowest market value was only more than 100 billion yuan. In less than a year, It soared 5 or 6 times, making it the most powerful weight stock among the stocks with a Chinese character. It seems that overnight, it has changed from a stock that even dogs despise to a hot commodity that all kinds of funds are competing to pursue. Many investors directly called out that the trillion-yuan magic car is about to return and break through the 10-year universe top. The reason why Zhongguo Zhongsh is so optimistic about funds is that the cooperation between Zhongguo Zhongsh and Avik Linfei has opened up huge imagination space for the company. The stock price has been stagnant over the past few years, hitting new lows all the time. There are many reasons for this. One of the important reasons is that the infrastructure construction of Dongda University has basically been completed, so there is no big expectation for Zhongguo Zhongsh's future, and there is no strong performance growth point. In addition, the A-share market is lagging, so the stock price has always been stagnant. But today is different. With the advent of room temperature superconducting materials, the first commercial scenario is air rail infrastructure. Zhongguo Zhongsh has become one of the first beneficiaries of room temperature superconducting materials. The upgrade of air rail in the superconducting era has opened up this imagination space, and Zhongguo Zhongsh has also ushered in a Davis double-click reversal. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257, Rush to the Whole Network Hot Search. For the trillion-yuan air rail train project in Linzhou City, CRRC won a large order of 702 train cars, and the total amount of this order reached an astonishing 379.8 billion yuan, including the magnetic track laying business. Although the profit margin is only about 7%, the absolute net profit is about 27 billion yuan. In addition, if other cities want to launch air rail train projects in the future, CRRC will definitely be the first choice. It is also a Guojia team enterprise with first mover advantage, and its competitiveness is self-evident. This is the expectation, and it is also the biggest driving factor supporting CRRC's current market value scale. After CRRC's daily limit, the funds that missed the opportunity went to find other railway stocks, which also led to the strengthening of the entire infrastructure sector. At the same time, Lingjing Technology also moved up, but the increase was not much, only less than 2 percentage points. On the other side, the test run of the air rail train returned to the hub station smoothly, and the worried accident did not happen. The project leader saw Xiao Yu walk out of the carriage safely, and on the platform, the stone hanging in his heart fell completely. At this moment, Xiao Yu and others who were taking the test ride came out of the carriage one after another, and everyone present applauded to celebrate the success of the test run. Linzhou City is currently maintaining a trend of net population inflow, and the scale of net inflow is still rising. The operation of the air rail train can greatly alleviate the future traffic pressure of our Linzhou City. Xiao Yu applauded and smiled at the city leaders next to him. The city's top leader also nodded and said with a smile, "I just heard from the technicians that there is no traffic jam on the air rail train, and it basically arrives on time, which is very good." This also highlights that the leaders are somewhat technically unskilled. This kind of high-tech transportation tool will definitely not have a traffic jam problem. Although the 22 lines of the total plan for the city are crisscrossed in Linzhou City, there are a total of 117 trains running. When encountering a fork in the road, the traffic headquarters center will definitely dispatch and adjust the speed of the train at any time to ensure that the whole journey is unobstructed. The key is that it will not compete with ground vehicles for lane resources and will not occupy land. At this time, the project leader said, "Our other plan is to build an additional batch of business-oriented air express trains on the existing basis to serve business people with tight commuting, and to operate in a single-carriage manner with space resources allocated at a height of 10 meters. Then he smiled and added, "Of course, the ticket price will definitely be much more expensive, but then again, no matter how expensive it is impossible to recover the cost." Speaking of this plan, there are actually many differences within the project team. Those who disagree think that it is unnecessary and a bit of a waste of resources. But in the end, it was decided to do this plan, and it was Xiao Yu who made the final decision. He was not calculating the economic account, but showing the soft power of Dongda with high technology to the outside world, and enhancing the high-end image of Linzhou City. so that the world's impression of this city is a futuristic technology capital. And coming to this city is like coming to the future. Although the air rail train project itself is a money loser and even has to run at a loss, the wool comes from the dog, and indirect promotion is the core. For example, it will make Linzhou City have the characteristics of tourism, such as the Bund in Shanghai, where a lot of tourists go to check in. When the air rail train project is fully put into operation, it will inevitably welcome people from all over the country and even all over the world to come to travel and check in, experience the air rail train, especially Business Air Express, and more tourists will bring consumption. This is just one of the indirect gain effects. Of course, these are secondary to Xiao Yu. What he cares most about is lighting up many technology trees as soon as possible and promoting the rapid development of technology on this side of the earth. Half an hour later, Xiao Yu also left this place. Then, he logged into his personal Weibo account and updated a Weibo dynamic, and also uploaded the photos and short videos he took during the test ride. Just now, I was fortunate to become the first passenger of the Linzhou air rail train. I witnessed the arrival of this moment and couldn't help but make a sharp comment. The train supported by superconducting floating technology is like flying in the air, stable and quiet. If you try it yourself, it will definitely subvert your perception of transportation. First of all, the sense of speed. After the train starts, the speed can soar to 100 kilometers per hour. However, after the official operation, it will still slow down further when driving in the city, but what I want to say is that its real speed can soar to 800 kilometers per hour, which is basically the same as that of a passenger plane. During high-speed driving, the carriage is as stable as Mount Tai, without any bumps. It feels like gliding in the city. Secondly, it is full of futuristic sense. The appearance of the carriage is very sci-fi, and the interior design of the carriage is also super cool. The seats will automatically adjust to fit the body curve completely. Sitting on it is like being surrounded by clouds. The window is a transparent display screen that displays the speed and scenery in real time. Every second is like being in a science fiction movie. The trial run was very successful, and every test rider present felt the power of technology firsthand. The future of Linzhou City will inevitably become better because of these air rail trains. With the initial three-dimensionalization of the transportation network, we will no longer be troubled by ground traffic congestion, and travel will become more efficient and pleasant. I also thank the scientists and engineers who have worked hard for this technology, making people's lives better and making the city of Linzhou more shining. Linzhou SkyTrain is not only a new mode of transportation, but also an important step towards the future. We also hope that more cities can have such miracles. Before Xiao Yu posted this Weibo, the news of the trial operation of the SkyTrain had already spread on the internet, and as soon as he posted this Weibo, it quickly made this matter a hot search. The attention of Linzhou City has also been greatly improved. Many netizens from other places said that when the SkyTrain in Linzhou City is officially in operation in the future, they will go to check in and experience it. The news also quickly spread to the external network platform, especially on TikTok, which attracted the attention and discussion of netizens and foreigners from all over the world. WTF. Their J36 has just been released not long ago, and they have even made the train fly. This is too crazy. Aren't they a developing country? How come their technology is so crazy? It seems that it is much more powerful than the Magnesium country and the European alliance. Since landing on the back of the moon, their technology has made great progress. They must have found the secret of aliens on the back of the moon. Maybe they found the Decepticons on the back of the moon. Mysterious Eastern power, show us all your treasures. As long as you are willing to sell them to us, we will pack them all. We respect technology very much. Humph. Technology that Hongua doesn't even have must be fake. Even if their technology advances, they can't make it in a short time, so it must be a fake video and fake pictures synthesized by AI. Dongda has been ridiculously high profile in recent years. Has it stopped hiding its strength? They have always been incompatible with our world. I increasingly suspect that they are aliens. We all have to be careful. When will our India produce a powerful one? We also have 1.4 billion people. We also promote like crazy. We can't let them dominate the global hot searches all the time. After seeing Dongda's achievements this year, I believe what Professor Mearsheimer said. China cannot win the war with the Eastern power. It is very stupid to continue to provoke them. This is the strength of Industry 4.0. Our German grasshopper industry has become 0.4. The Eastern giant has realized both the magnesium grasshopper dream and the German grasshopper dream. Is this their manufacturing 2025 plan? It covers all equipment manufacturing. They are one step closer to the Nanchunman plan. Guys, hurry up and learn Chinese. Chapter 258, Can Share Track System with Current High-Speed Rail. During the trial run, Xiao Yu and the main leaders of Linzhou City personally took the train for a test ride. This kind of leading by example is, to a large extent, an endorsement of the safety and reliability of this new type of transportation, which has dispelled some concerns in many people's hearts. Even important people like Xiao Yu and the main leaders of the city took the train for a test ride first, which shows that it is really safe and reliable. According to the established development plan of the project, 2 lines will be put into operation after the second half of this year, namely Linzhou Rail Transit Line 1 and Line 2. Zhongguo CRRC will also plan to enter the mass production stage at the beginning of the second quarter. The first Line 1 is 32.86 kilometers long and has 25 stations. This line connects all external transportation hubs such as Linzhou West Station, Linzhou Station, Linzhou South Station, and Linzhou Airport. It is a backbone urban rail transit route connecting urban transportation hubs. The laying of magnetic tracks has already begun, and there are 25 station hubs that are now under construction. The construction period is quite tight, and there is no problem with the overall planning of the project. All parties have done their own things. In the next few days, while Xiao Yu was busy preparing for the early stages of the Power Armor project, AVIC Linfei's CEO Chen Zaiking was invited to attend a meeting in the province, where the main leaders of Linzhou City were also present. After the meeting, Chen Zaiking returned to Linzhou City and found Xiao Yu to report the matter. The province wants to build an air train line directly to the provincial capital. Xiao Yu looked at Chen Zaiking in surprise, and the latter nodded and said, "Yes, this meeting is to discuss this matter." The total length is 358 kilometers, and it can cover 2 prefecture-level cities along the way. Chen Zaiking turned his head and looked at the national map on the wall of the office and said, "This line can not only connect Linzhou with the provincial capital and the 2 prefecture-level cities along the way, but from the perspective of the national transportation network system, it is also in the key line area of the 8 vertical and 8 horizontal lines." Hearing this, Xiao Yu also looked at the map on the wall, and after a little thought, he said, "It seems that the provincial leaders are predicting that the country will upgrade the 8 vertical and 8 horizontal rail transit trunk lines to air trains in the future. So they want to take the lead and demonstrate first." Chen Zaiking nodded immediately and said, "Yes, the provincial leaders said so too. They believe that rail transit and air trains must be the general trend of the future. The existing high-speed rail lines will definitely be gradually upgraded to air trains in the future, and they may not even improve the existing high-speed rail systems and technologies." Xiao Yu nodded involuntarily. He obviously agreed with the provincial leader's prediction. The emergence of the Sky Train is indeed of great significance, not just limited to the rail transit system within the city. With the emergence of this technological product, it is very likely that the high-speed rail will no longer be improved. There are 2 reasons. First, the Eastern Power has developed high-speed rail technology to the world's first level. It can be said that the technology is already very perfect and there is no room for improvement. The more the technology develops, the more perfect it is, and its benefits and costs will definitely be inversely proportional. That is, the marginal benefits will decrease. Second, no matter how the old model is upgraded, it is definitely not as good as the brand new design. This is most obvious in the comparison between the J-20 fighter and the J-36 fighter. However, the J-20 fighter has been upgraded several times in a row, but no matter how the old model of the 5th generation aircraft is upgraded and improved, it cannot compare with the brand new design of the 1st generation 6th generation aircraft J-36. Similarly, after the J-36 fighter is improved and upgraded several times in the future, as the marginal benefits decrease, it will directly abandon the improvement and upgrade of this model and instead invest resources in the development of the 7th generation fighter, which is the most cost-effective. The reason is similar. In the field of rail transportation, the relationship between high-speed rail and air train is like the relationship between J-20 fighter and J-36 fighter. It costs a lot to upgrade the high-speed rail system, and the ceiling may not be able to touch the lower limit of the air train system. The investment of the same resources has a completely disproportionate return. This can be described as a price of happiness. At present, only the Eastern powers in the world can have this opportunity of one is happy and the other is worried. In fact, the high-speed rail network system is not a backward product that is eliminated in the contemporary era. You must know that other countries do not have it yet. But now Dongda has something better than high-speed rail, which is undoubtedly a happy trouble. At this moment, Xiao Yu turned and asked, "What do you think?" Chen Zhiqing thought for a while and analyzed. "I think the national level should vigorously promote the layout of superconducting upgrades in the national industrial industry, and it is likely to start with the field of rail transportation network." Xiao Yu asked back, "What do you mean?" Chen Zhiqing replied, "The current standard speed of high-speed rail is set at 350 km per hour, but empty trains can easily reach 801,000 km per hour. It cannot be so fast within the city, but the main line outside the city is different. It is completely possible. This greatly reduces the time cost and communication cost of intercity transportation, and increases the time efficiency by 2 times compared with the current high-speed rail, thus translating into stronger economic benefits. Secondly, the investment is lower than that of empty trains within the city. On the one hand, the scale has increased, and the average cost will inevitably be significantly reduced under the promotion of scale effect. On the other hand, the existing high-speed rail network tracks are ready-made and can be shared. Basically, there is no need to lay magnetic tracks. Just a slight modification will allow the existing high-speed rail track network to have the function of generating electromagnetic fields. It is worth mentioning that the domestic high-speed rail lines are basically powered by electricity. Its power supply system is mainly composed of the power supply network, contact network and pantograph. The power is supplied by the bonnet system at the top of the high-speed rail, and the pantograph contacts the high-voltage line to obtain electricity. The SkyTrain is essentially powered by electricity, but it needs to create additional artificial electromagnetic field constraints to support the train to float forward. In short, the SkyTrain can completely share the existing track system with the current high-speed rail network. With electricity, it is easy to create an artificial electromagnetic field. The difference is that the air train is flying on a height surface above the bonnet system, and the high-speed rail runs unchanged under the bonnet system. Only some special sections need to be relayed, such as some high-speed rail tunnels that need to be passed through on the way. In the previous design of the high-speed rail network, the bonnet system did not have additional space, and the empty train could not pass through the tunnel. But there is no need to make a big detour. The purpose of the tunnel is to avoid making a big detour, and the empty train can still go under the bonnet system to pass through the tunnel. The solution is not complicated. It is to build an additional ramp for empty trains on the road section before entering the tunnel, so that the empty train running above the catenary system can gradually lower its altitude, and then re-enter the main track from the ramp. At this time, the altitude of the empty train is the same as that of the high-speed train, so it can pass through the tunnel smoothly. After exiting the tunnel, it can climb the ramp and resume running above the catenary system again, without occupying the original high-speed rail track resources. During this period, the Rail Transit System Control Center can dispatch empty trains or high-speed trains to run at off-peak times, or slow down the high-speed trains, or speed up the empty trains, to ensure that they do not occupy track resources at the same time when passing through the tunnel. The only solution to this problem is to use off-peak dispatching. Chapter 259, its granularity is. Even if the SkyTrain plan is fully implemented, the resources and sunk costs that have been invested in the high-speed rail system will not be directly scrapped, but can be shared with it without causing too much conflict. Therefore, the total investment cost is much lower than that of urban SkyTrain rail transit, because the track network in the city needs to relay new magnetic tracks, which is a cost that cannot be saved, but the high-speed rail track system has been built long ago, and it happens to be basically powered by electricity, so there is no need to change the existing basic structure. The only operation is to add a function that the track can generate an artificial electromagnetic field, but as long as there is support from the power grid system, it will be easy to do. At this moment, Chen Zhiqing continued, there is a great pressure on the overall economic downturn. Referring to past examples, at this time, infrastructure plans are often used to stimulate the economy, but the rail transit system has basically been completed. Forcibly building infrastructure will only bring lower and lower benefits, which may cause the road surface to be repaired and renovated again, which is a huge waste of resources. The advent of the SkyTrain is different. It can build infrastructure routes, and the benefits are very high. The SkyTrain project can really greatly reduce the cost and efficiency of long-distance communication. Xiao Yu nodded silently in approval. Chen Zhaking added, in addition, there is another benefit at the military level. The Sky Train can reach a speed of 1,000 kilometers per hour, which will double the mobilization capacity and efficiency of the troops. To sum up these overviews, these reasons are fully sufficient to support the country's vigorous promotion of the 8 vertical and 8 horizontal National Sky Train project. At the end, Xiao Yu said simply, if the province wants to build this Sky Train line, then go ahead. Our company will be responsible for supplying the production capacity of room temperature superconducting materials. Anyway, the plan has been made clear. Room temperature superconducting materials will be reduced in cost and increased in efficiency every 2 years, with a 30% reduction in cost and a 2-fold increase in production capacity. Chen Zhaking said, if we want to build this air train line that connects the provincial capital, the province wants Linzhou City to pay for it. Xiao Yu smiled when he heard this. I knew it would be like this. Although air trains can share most of the sunk cost resources that have been invested in the high-speed rail track system, it is actually very expensive, mainly on the air train carriages. The current quotation is that a standard air train carriage costs more than 500 million. It will not be possible without a budget of 200 to 300 billion. The province certainly cannot come up with so much money. The country is unlikely to allocate funds unless it is really determined to fully popularize the air train project in the future. Now there is a rumor that the country is going to start a large infrastructure project again. It is said that the budget has reached an astonishing 20 trillion, which is 5 times the scale of the 4 trillion plan. Chen Zhaking said with a smile, when I went to the meeting this time, the provincial leaders talked about this matter. They said that if this special line is opened, it will benefit Linzhou in the long run and the provincial capital will be unfavorable. The commuting time between the two places will be further shortened to about 20 minutes, which will inevitably lead to further population flow to Linzhou City. Hearing this, Xiao Yu couldn't help but smile. There is nothing wrong with this. Linzhou City now has great external attraction because there are many opportunities here. The city's current popularity and attraction are much greater than the provincial capital where it is located, and it is also constantly siphoning high-quality population net inflows from the surrounding areas. If this air train special line is opened, the commuting time from the provincial capital to Linzhou will be directly shortened to about 20 minutes. In the future, it is really possible that some high-income people will have their household registration in the provincial capital, but their workplace will be in Linzhou City. It is not impossible to greatly reduce commuting time. As long as the income support can afford such commuting expenses, this phenomenon will definitely occur. If you work in the provincial capital, you can earn 7,000 to 8,000 yuan a month, but if you find a job in Linzhou, you can earn 20,000 to 30,000 yuan. Even if you need to spend 7,000 to 8,000 yuan a month on commuting expenses, it is higher than the absolute income of working in the provincial capital. A significant improvement in commuting efficiency will definitely benefit those more attractive cities, and will greatly increase the floating population of the city. Even if it is a floating population, as long as people come here, they will definitely consume here, and the boost to the local consumer economy is self-evident. It is reasonable for Linzhou City to pay the money unilaterally. Moreover, if Linzhou is unwilling to pay this money, then this matter cannot be done, because the province does not have this money, and the 2 prefecture-level cities along the way still need transfer payments, so it is even more impossible to count on it, and the floating population will be siphoned by Linzhou City. However, things are two-way. The 2 prefecture-level cities along the way have their own characteristics, and they can also attract those people with strong consumption power in Linzhou City to play and consume. Because the commuting time is greatly saved, it is easier to go and go, and at the same time, you can quickly get back to work. After a while, Xiao Yu asked, what is the attitude of the city? Hearing this, Chen Zhaking smiled and said, of course it is aligned with the granularity. Xiao Yu couldn't help but be speechless when he heard this. Chen Zhaking added, but whether the project can be approved in the end depends on whether the country approves it. The local government cannot make the final decision, because the air train project involves room temperature superconducting materials. The country currently has extremely strict control over the whereabouts of this new material. It can even be said that every pound of output materials must have a clear destination. If it cannot be traced, it will be strictly investigated. The main concern is that the technology will be leaked and foreigners will get it to study and do reverse engineering. Although Xiao Yu vowed that it is basically impossible for foreigners to reverse it, the state level still needs to eliminate this situation. No matter whether they can reverse it or not, It is the safest to directly eliminate their reverse conditions. Even for the first air train carriages for civilian use, a special team has been set up to guard them to prevent the room temperature superconducting materials on the carriages from being stolen. Therefore, the air train project has become more special, and it needs the approval of a higher level to be truly implemented. At last, Xiao Yu said, "Let's do it this way. We don't have to worry about it. Just wait for the instructions from the top leaders of the country. If we want to do it, we just need to ensure the supply and quietly be an upstream supplier of the industry. Let other people and other units worry about other things, and we just need to do our own job well." Chen Ziking nodded and replied, "Understood." Judging from the current situation, Xiao Yu estimated that there is a high probability that this air train special line project will be approved, and air trains will definitely be included in the national chessboard layout, and the 8 vertical and 8 horizontal layout is absolutely indispensable. Because the significant benefit boost is visible, the cost of investment is acceptable, and there is no need to eliminate the high-speed rail system that has been invested on a large scale immediately. There is no reason not to use such a new technology. Chapter 260, Stepping on the Edge of the Times. If Linzhou City has to bear the entire budget expenditure of this air train special line project alone, without issuing local bonds, the city's fiscal and taxation situation may still be a bit overwhelmed. Chen Ziking looked at Xiao Yu and mentioned this matter. The core source of Linzhou City's current fiscal and taxation revenue is Lingjing technology. The trillion-dollar air rail project can only be implemented with the support of Lingjing technology, a super taxpayer. Xiao Yu had previously promised that if the funds were insufficient, the city could borrow money, and he asked Lingjing technology to buy local bonds. In actual conditions, it is not necessary, but if an additional huge expenditure budget of several hundred billion is added, it will be another matter. However, this is also a small matter. Lingjing technology has sufficient cash flow reserves. At worst, it can really buy bonds issued by Linzhou. Anyway, there is no need to worry about defaulting and not being able to pay. After a while, Xiao Yu turned to ask, "What is the performance expectation of AVIC Linfei this year?" Hearing this, Chen Ziking replied, "According to the plan to reach 1,000 tons of room temperature superconducting material production capacity this year, the revenue is expected to reach 865 billion, but the profit is not much, and it cannot contribute too much tax in the short term." This revenue scale directly surpassed Lingjing technology in one fell swoop, but it was not profitable, because in order to limit production capacity in the early stage, Xiao Yu quoted the cost of room temperature superconducting materials at 800 million per ton, which means that the cost of producing 1,000 tons would cost 800 billion. Room temperature superconducting materials are materials that were transferred from the Blue Star world. This 800 billion cost must be wasted and reflected in the report, otherwise there is no way to give a reasonable explanation to the outside world. The current profit margin of room temperature superconducting materials is not high, because it has not been open to the civilian field. The current production capacity is either for military use or for the current SkyTrain project, and another part is used to study controlled fusion technology. The military sector only has a 5% profit according to the cost pricing method. The profit of air rail trains is higher than that of the military sector, but it does not exceed 10 percentage points. As for the direction of controlled fusion, it is currently in the research stage and does not require much. On the whole, the current sales targets of the room temperature superconducting materials business should not have too high a profit margin, so the total profit margin is about 8%, and the net profit margin is even lower. The Shenlong project under AVIC Linfei can bring in more than 300 billion in revenue expectations, but the military plans to purchase 35 J-36 fighters in 5 years, and deliver them in batches of 7, with a capital amount of about 87.2 billion, and the profit is not high, also with a profit margin of 5%. Therefore, AVIC Linfei now has almost no tax amount, and at most it will pay tens of billions of taxes this year. For the company's profit margin to really take off, it will take another 1 or 2 cycles of cost reduction and efficiency improvement to be reflected. AVIC Linfei is different from Lingjing technology. The strategic significance of room temperature superconducting materials far exceeds that of graphene materials. It is related to the country's promotion of industrial upgrading in the superconducting era. Before the cost is reduced, too much profit cannot be taken, and the price cannot be too expensive. Expensive prices will slow down the efficiency of superconducting empowerment industry upgrading. However, Lingjing Technology's current ability to make money is off the charts, and the scale of profits is ridiculously high. There is no big problem. In recent years, Lingjing Technology will bear the brunt of it. In 2 or 3 years, Avic Linfei will also make efforts. A few days later, news came out that Linzhou City plans to invest in the construction of the country's first long-distance air train line, with a mileage of 350 kilometers. As soon as this news came out, it immediately attracted much attention from the outside world, and soon an insider told the media that the news was true. Air rail trains are no longer limited to urban rail transit, and long-distance trunk lines must be built. The speed of advancement is much faster than the outside world predicted. Driven by this news, the capital market regards it as a major positive beyond expectations for Zhongguo CRRC, and the stock price has once again ushered in a surge. The next day, when the stock market opened, the stock opened with a strong bid and closed at the daily limit all day, and then went out of the second daily limit, pushing the market value to 935.5 billion, breaking through the previous high. The last high point was the cosmic top in 2015. Zhongguo Zhongsh is firmly standing at the forefront of the times and reaping the dividends brought by room temperature superconductivity. On the third trading day, Zhongguo Zhongsh opened with a daily limit again, and the stock price rushed to 35.85 yuan and went out of the 3 consecutive boards. However, this daily limit was finally broken, and then a large amount of volume was released. At the end of the trading day, it turned from weak to strong again and returned to the limit, and went out of the turnover T-shaped board. After 3 consecutive boards, Zhongguo Zhongsh's total market value reached 1,028.8 billion, entering the trillion yuan market value club. After nearly 10 years, it once again stood on the trillion yuan market value mark, and its popularity index was off the charts. In the past few days, it has been firmly ranked first in the popularity list of individual stocks in the A-share market. Stockholders have once again brought out the former title of Zhongguo Shench. The historical peak of Zhongguo Zhongsh after adjustment is 37.78 yuan, and this trend is definitely going to break through and set a new historical high. On the 4th trading day, Zhongguo Zhongsh rose to the daily limit within half an hour after opening, and the stock price soared to 39.44 yuan, successfully breaking through the high of 37.78 yuan on April 20, 2015 to reach a new historical high, pushing the total market value to 1.13 trillion. In the next few trading days, Zhongguo Zhongsh stopped rising by the daily limit, but the market's bullish momentum did not immediately dry up, and it still maintained an upward trend until the stock price rushed to 59.59 yuan, pushing the market value to 1.71 trillion. This main rising wave ended, and a larger and longer period of adjustment was ushered in. Many stockholders also joke that Zhongguo Zhongsh was bought above 5,000 points in the market 10 years ago and was trapped, but 10 years later, it was able to get out of the trap below 3,000 points in the market, and they called it a series of things they had never seen before. However, today, the locked-in shares that stood guard at the top of the universe are long gone, because they have all been sold. Before the market came out, no one would have thought that this ticket could increase tenfold in less than a year. From the bottom of 4.21 yuan in April last year to the present, the maximum cumulative increase is plus 1,315.43%, and no one expected that it could reach a new historical high. Just when Zhongguo CRRC was making a big splash in the capital market, Xiao Yu didn't pay attention to it at all. His current mind was mainly on the single soldier power armor project. 2 days later, at the headquarters of Lingjing Technology. At this moment, Xiao Yu was in his office talking about project matters with a person in charge of the Intelligent Medical Operating Table project team. At this moment, his mobile phone received an unread message, and it was encrypted. As soon as Xiao Yu heard the prompt tone, he knew that it was a message sent to him by AI Xiaolin from the underground secret base, because a special prompt tone was used. He immediately stopped talking, took out his mobile phone and glanced at the message. Master, the prototype of the power armor after technical downgrade has been manufactured. When Xiao Yu saw this message, he was immediately refreshed. He deleted the message and looked at the person in charge of the Intelligent Medical Operating Table project team and said, "The clinical trial of volunteers will proceed as planned. Report to me if there is any new progress." The middle-aged man in front of him looked at Xiao Yu and nodded, understood. Seeing that Xiao Yu obviously had other things to do, he said goodbye and left first. As soon as he left the office, Xiao Yu also left the Lingjing Technology headquarters and returned to his villa, and then transferred himself to a secret base deep underground through the teleportation stargate. Chapter 261, Power Armor Prototype Test. Xiao Yu had just arrived at the underground secret base when the AI Xiaolan's holographic projection girl image appeared in front of him. Master, the prototype of the power armor has been completed and you can test it at any time. Hearing this, Xiao Yu nodded with satisfaction and said, not bad, it's quite efficient, let's test it. Xiaolan immediately guided Xiao Yu to the site where the prototype of the power armor was located. Walking through a long passage, the walls were inlaid with light strips that illuminated the way forward. Xiao Yu walked quickly in the passage, and there was a door at the end. When Xiao Yu was about to reach the door, he saw the door slowly open horizontally, and he went straight into the laboratory without saying a word. There were huge mechanical arms and various precision instruments neatly arranged inside, and in the middle of it, two tall armed power armors stood quietly, as if they were sleeping steel giants, waiting to be awakened. Xiao Yu came to stand in front of it, looking at it silently. Its overall shape was full of futuristic sense and mechanical aesthetics, and it was a perfect fusion of the design concept of power and speed. The appearance of the power armor is a single silver-gray color, and the surface is covered with a layer of smooth alloy armor, which shines with a sharp luster under the light of the base laboratory. Its appearance design is very streamlined, and it also shows a unique sense of power. Although it has been greatly downgraded in technology, it is still a unique single-soldier combat equipment system in the contemporary Earth world, at least leading the world for more than 20 years, and most importantly, it is the only one in the world. At this time, the holographic AI Xiaolan said, Master, the one on the left is a wearable armed power armor, and the one on the right is an unmanned pure mechanical armed power armor. Xiao Yu was not indecisive, and immediately said, try it yourself, Xiaolan. As soon as the voice fell, Xiaolan immediately awakened the wearable power armor on the left, and saw that the back module of this power armor suddenly opened from the middle to both sides. Whether it was the back, legs, or arms, Xiao Yu saw that when it was opened, it was full of complex and sophisticated mechanical structures. The speed was very fast, and it was opened in a few seconds. The interior of the power armor was hollow and could accommodate a person. After a while, Xiao Yu changed into a body-shaping suit tailored for wearing power armor, then walked towards the power armor and embedded himself in it. Then the power armor shell on his back began to close quickly, completely wrapping his whole body and completely isolating him from the outside air. The life support system carried by the power armor can exchange air inside and outside, and can filter out harmful gases in the air, because it also has powerful nuclear, biological and chemical defense capabilities. At this moment, Xiao Yu, who was inside the power armor, had a circle of blue halo inlaid on the inner edge of his helmet. It was the projection source of the augmented reality system, which could provide the wearer with real-time battlefield information, target locking and tactical analysis in battle. In addition, micro-communication equipment and sensors were built in to receive and send commands. The front of the helmet is a one-way visual mask made of high-strength composite materials that can withstand the impact of high-speed projectiles. Wow, it feels great. The internal space of the power armor fits my body perfectly. It can be said to be tailor-made, Xiao Yu, who is wearing the power armor, said with great satisfaction. In fact, this power armor prototype did not refer to Xiao Yu's height, three-dimensional weight and other data, but was customized according to the standard body data of adults in the Eastern country. The reason why it can fit Xiao Yu's body perfectly, as if it was tailor-made, is that the internal parts that contact the body are made of memory alloy materials, which can automatically adjust the shape according to the wearer's body shape to provide the most comfortable fit. The inner surface of the power armor is covered with various interfaces and sensors, which are closely connected to the wearer's body and can monitor the physiological state in real time and provide feedback. System startup, the built-in synthetic voice of the power armor sounded. Xiao Yu's vision was immediately covered by a layer of front view screen, and everything around him became clear and three-dimensional. The external scene he saw could also identify the information of the target in the field of vision and display it on the front view screen, which was clear at a glance and would not block the field of vision. At this time, the power armor began to perform the self-detection program, and Xiao Yu also saw the data on the front view screen pouring down like a waterfall. Each self-detection parameter represented whether the performance of the power armor met the standard. The power system, nuclear, biological and chemical defense system, life support system, intelligence analysis system, auditory compensation system, adaptive balance system, etc. Everything is proceeding in an orderly manner. The energy core is stable, the power output is normal, the system self-check is complete, and all functions are normal. The built-in electronic synthetic voice came with a series of system prompts. The self-check was completed, there was no problem, and it could operate normally. Xiao Yu's mouth corners slightly raised, and he smiled without saying a word. Next, he began to do some simple tests. First, he tried to raise his arm. The joints of the power armor responded flexibly and coordinated with his movement. Then he waved his arms a few times, feeling the transmission of power. Then, Xiao Yu slowly took a few steps forward, and the key of the power armor's legs made a slight sound. The adaptive system is quite good, almost achieving the unity of man and machine, like swinging an arm, without the slightest sense of stiffness. Xiao Yu personally tried the initial experience test and was very satisfied with this set of power armor. Next, he walked out of the laboratory and came to another open field to conduct more intense maneuvering tests, including running, jumping, etc., and each movement was precise and powerful. Xiao Yu, wearing the power armor, continued to move his body, feeling the connection with the power armor. The power armor moved in sync with him in all his body movements, and the movements were smooth and natural, as if this steel body had become a part of his body as an exoskeleton. The load-bearing capacity of the power armor is also quite strong. Xiao Yu tested it himself. He was able to easily lift objects weighing several tons while wearing the power armor, which was absolutely impossible to do with human strength alone. As time went by, after half an hour of testing, Xiao Yu came out of the power armor with satisfaction. He just did a simple hands-on experience test first. If he really wanted to conduct systematic testing and evaluation, he might not be able to leave this underground base today. Xiao Yu looked at the prototype standing quietly in front of him again, and couldn't help but smile. If Lao Lu saw it, he would definitely love this equipment. This is definitely the face of the army, and it is also an epic all-round enhancement of the combat capability of individual soldiers. It is worth mentioning that this wearable armed power armor also has a very powerful function, that is, sentry mode. After a person comes out of this wearable power armor, it does not mean that it has no combat capability. Just start the sentry mode and it can take on the task of standing guard and providing security for soldiers who are in a state of rest. The wearable power armor in sentry mode can basically be regarded as an unmanned pure mechanical power armor combat unit. In other words, this wearable power armor equipment has the ability to fight independently even without the control of human soldiers. Chapter 262, really good. Xiao Yu personally tried it out. After a simple preliminary test, he was very satisfied with the performance of the first-generation verification model. Basically, there is no need to make any changes, and the technology can be finalized directly. By the way, Xiao Lan, make some adjustments and cut off the adaptive coding function of the first-generation machine. This technology will be stored first and used later. Xiao Yu looked at the wearable armed power armor in front of him and suddenly said, making this decision. The surface of this first-generation machine is covered with a layer of nano-level adaptive coating, which can adjust the color and texture according to environmental changes, making it highly concealed on the battlefield. When it is activated, the coating will emit a faint blue light for a few seconds, as if it is the energy blood flowing in the veins of the steel body. The so-called adaptive coating is actually an optical camouflage function, which is a black technology. It is too supermodel and too advanced in the contemporary era. Xiao Yu waited and felt that it was a bit inappropriate to use it at this time. In fact, the essence of this technology is a distributed optical computer. It was inspired by the ability of the mimic octopus skin to change color instantly to hide itself. The decentralized strategy also ensures that the coating in local areas will not affect the normal use of the coating in other parts, even if it is damaged. The octopus skin is inlaid with 2 million pigment cells per square millimeter, and each cell is controlled by 15 radial muscles. When light penetrates the translucent epidermis, retinal protein triggers calcium ion waves within 5 milliseconds, triggering the three-dimensional reconstruction of pigment cells. This photochromic mechanism does not rely on visual signals, and completes environmental sampling in response directly through the skin. The evolutionary strategy of the mimic octopus skin inspired the scientists of the Blue Star world to develop stealth technology and optical sensing, and finally developed this adaptive coating technology. Attaching this coating is equivalent to coating the surface of the body with a layer of pigment cells with decentralized decision-making and self-processing capabilities, and it is faster than the mimic octopus. The mimic octopus can complete the switching of the whole body pattern within 0.4 seconds, while this artificial coating can complete the switching within 0.05 seconds. Xiao Yu decided to cut off this technology for another reason, that is, this thing consumes too much electricity. In fact, this is nothing in the blue star world, because there are products such as ultra-high energy density batteries, and the energy consumption of the adaptive coating accounts for only about 3% of the overall power consumption. But the first generation power armor that Xiao Yu made has been technically downgraded and is also equipped with graphene batteries. Cutting off the adaptive coating can increase the comprehensive endurance of the power armor by about 37% on the original basis, so it is more appropriate to cut off this technology. As for the exterior coating of the power armor, it is enough to apply some traditional camouflage coating. The positioning of the power armor equipment is not the old 6 tactics of secret infiltration, but more for the front battlefield. To a large extent, not being invisible can make the enemy see it. But it is more effective. On the front battlefield, the enemy sees that they are facing such a group of opponents with iron bodies, which can cause them great psychological deterrence, and can play the effect of first defeating the enemy before the battle. Adaptive coating technology is also not suitable for the J-36 fighter. It is enough to be able to be invisible to radar. Optical stealth is not very meaningful. Moreover, with the performance of the J-36 fighter, it doesn't even matter whether it is invisible or not. In addition to showing off the technology, the adaptive coating technology is actually a negative improvement to the actual combat effect, because it adds an extra power consumption burden to the equipment, which shortens the range and combat radius of the fighter. It also shortens its endurance when used on power armor, which is a complete negative improvement. After a few more years, when the technology tree on Earth is almost ready, it will not be too late to apply this technology. At this moment, Xiao Yu turned to look at another unmanned pure intelligent mechanical power armor first generation machine. Its appearance is basically the same as the wearable power armor. It is difficult for the enemy to figure out which power armor has a person in it and which is the real consumable cannon fodder, which can indirectly further improve the survivability of human soldiers on the battlefield. Pure intelligent mechanical power armor not only looks the same, but also has basically no difference in function, and all have the same level of firepower output capability. The biggest difference is that it is not very resistant to attack, and its defense ability is much worse than that of wearable power armor. This is also a trade-off made to save costs. It is positioned as battlefield consumables and cannon fodder. It sits on the same table with weapons and ammunition consumables, but the difference is that it is more advanced. After a while, Xiao Yu picked up a rifle with a high-capacity magazine. This weapon is tailor-made for armed power armor, and a single magazine can hold 500 rounds of bullets. It's so heavy, Xiao Yu held up the rifle with both hands, and suddenly felt heavy, but he was still able to pick it up. Wearing power armor, holding this rifle is as easy as drinking water. Xiao Yu immediately gave a command to the pure intelligent mechanical power armor next to him, letting it take over the rifle, and it really took it up easily. Master, there is a temporary training range in the base, where live ammunition tests can be carried out, Xiao Lan reminded at this time. Then try it. Xiao Yu made a decisive decision, and then came to the training range. The base can also simulate highly realistic battlefield environments and terrains through holographic technology, but physical training is not very effective. At this moment, Xiao Yu came to the location of the training range, and immediately authorized the pure intelligent mechanical power armor to attack, and asked Xiao Lan to start the training range. After authorization, the pure humanoid mechanical power armor held a rifle and showed a shooting posture. There were fixed targets in the shooting range, with distances ranging from 100 meters to 300 meters. Bang! 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 As the sound of gunfire resounded in the shooting range, the fixed targets on the field were hit one by one. This humanoid pure mechanical power armor fired very quickly, and it was a burst. Firing more than 30 shots in a row. All hit the target, the hit rate is 100%, Xiao Lan's voice came. Then the shooting of the moving target was tested again. The moving targets were all irregularly moving. The humanoid pure intelligent mechanical power armor held a rifle and continued to shoot at a high frequency, still firing in bursts. A total of 122 moving targets rose on the shooting range, distributed in different areas, and moved irregularly, but in less than 2 minutes, All the targets were knocked down. Xiao Lan's voice sounded again. The hit rate is 95%. Xiao Yu next to him was quite excited. Not bad, not bad. Such a high frequency of shooting, and hitting irregular moving targets, with a hit rate of more than 90%. Really good. This is thanks to the auxiliary aiming system of the power armor, which can quickly lock the target and launch an attack in a complex environment. Judging from the shooting test results of this humanoid pure intelligent mechanical power armor, the effect is quite good. Almost one target is killed in 1 second. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is a sharpshooter. This is really a plug-in for the technological automatic aiming system. Chapter 263, Power Armor Project Approved. In a real battlefield, the hit rate will definitely drop further, because you have to avoid the enemy's attack, and the difficulty will definitely increase significantly. Although the humanoid pure intelligent mechanical power armor is a positioning consumable, it is much cheaper than the wearable power armor, but it is actually very expensive. No matter how cheap it is, it will cost several million each, and it is impossible to let it output under the enemy's firepower. It is still necessary to save yourself as much as possible while killing the enemy, which can also reduce some logistical pressure. Unless there are some special circumstances, such as when you have to launch a charge to seize the enemy's position, you have to go up under the enemy's firepower. However, even if the hit rate is halved, it is completely acceptable, and the killing effect on the enemy is also quite amazing. After the test, Xiao Yu, who was in a good mood, immediately ordered, Xiao Lan, copy the technical material data of these two power armors. Xiao Lan responded, okay, master, please wait. The technical problem was solved efficiently in this way. The focus afterwards was to innovate and develop these technologies in the name of Lingjing Technology Company. These technologies born in the Blue Star world came to the Earth and became innovative technologies under Lingjing Technology. Xiao Yu still needs to spend some time, but now he has rich experience in arranging these things, so he can be said to be familiar with it, and it is just a matter of time cost. Half an hour later, Xiao Yu returned to the ground and returned to his villa. Just a few minutes after coming up, Chen Ziking called Xiao Yu to report, Mr. Xiao, I have received a notice that the Army's project has been approved. Xiao Yu was refreshed. Okay, I'll talk to you when I get there. After that, he hung up the phone and went out to the headquarters of Avic Linfei. When he arrived in Chen Ziking's office, he saw Xiao Yu coming in and immediately picked up a document and handed it to him. The Armed Power Armor project has been approved. This is the approval document. Xiao Yu took the material and walked to the sofa in the rest area while reading it and sat down. He decided to put this project under Lingjing Technology, but the notice from above was not sent to Su Changming, but to Avic Linfei and to Chen Ziking. The proposal for the single soldier armed power armor project proposed earlier was adopted by the state and approved to do this project. Finally, Xiao Yu talked with Chen Ziking for a few words and left Avic Linfei company with a document. He went to the Lingjing Technology headquarters next door. The new headquarters of the two companies are in the same park. It only takes a few minutes. Xiao Yu entered the Lingjing Technology headquarters building and called Yun Shu in the chairman's elevator. What's the matter? Yun Shu's voice came from the phone. Xiao Yu immediately said, send the list of technical backbones of the robot and automation equipment department to my office. Yes. Yun Shu hung up the phone and put down the work at hand to go to the personnel department to get the materials. Xiao Yu went to his office, put the document away, and waited for a few minutes before hearing a knock on the door. Come in. Xiao Yu looked in the direction of the voice, and it was the beautiful assistant Yun Shu who walked in. She walked slowly to Xiao Yu and handed him the list of personnel prepared. This is the list of technical backbones you want, it's all on it. Xiao Yu said nothing, took the document and opened it to browse, and at the same time used a pen to check the names next to some of the names. The company's robotics and automation equipment department has been expanding its staff since last year. Currently, the department has more than 1,700 people. The most important project the department is currently working on is the surgical robot, which is an intelligent medical operating table. Individual armed power armor equipment can also be considered as robotic automation equipment, and it is also humanoid robot equipment, so Xiao Yu decided to transfer the power armor project to Lingjing Technology, so that the entire set of technology can be seen as a continuation of the same lineage. Yun Shu, who was standing by, saw him checking the boxes on the list from time to time, and couldn't help but ask curiously, what are you going to do? I've received a mission from the country's military project to make a humanoid mechanical exoskeleton power armor, Xiao Yu said without raising his head. After a moment, he turned and asked, have you seen Lau Mei's Marvel movie Iron Man? Yunshu nodded and said, I've seen one of them. Xiao Yu continued, it's similar to that one, but it's a relatively low-end version of the iron suit in the movie, and it can't fly. Yunshu was startled when he heard this. A hint of surprise flashed across his eyes, and then he couldn't help but complain, does the country really think you are a genius like Stark? Can such an advanced technological product really be made? The country asks you to do it, and you really dare to take it. This kind of advanced high-tech equipment product is indeed a bit of black technology in modern times. Although artificial intelligence and robots have been hot in recent years, there is still no decent humanoid robot product that has entered the commercialization stage to this day, let alone equipment like the one in the movie Iron Man. Although the robot dog has been initially commercialized, it is not a humanoid robot. To make a humanoid robot, the technical difficulty has soared significantly. Xiao Yu looked up at the beautiful assistant and said with a smile, it was not the country that asked me to do it. I wrote a report and suggested it to the country, and then the country approved it. The document came down today, so it is ready to start the project. Yunshu looked at him in a daze. Can it really be done? Xiao Yu smiled confidently and said calmly, how do you know if you can do it if you don't try it first? But then again, I can even handle the J-36 fighter, so a small power armor equipment is no problem. Xiao Yu retracted his gaze and continued to check the list of personnel, and said at the same time, some key technologies have been opened up, energy, materials, and intelligent bodies. As long as these three key technologies are no problem, we will have the basic conditions for building power armor, and other aspects can be slowly upgraded. Although Yunshu was very surprised by this, thinking of the fact that the two companies have successively developed graphene material mass production technology, room temperature superconducting material synthesis technology, artificial intelligence technology, surgical robots, J-36 fighters, etc. Any one of them is enough to be called the pinnacle of its field in the world. It doesn't seem too outrageous for Xiao Yu to be able to make high-tech equipment such as power armor. Finally, Xiao Yu checked the last name on the personnel list and handed it to Yunshu. He looked at her and said, there are only 200 people here. Adjust them from their existing positions and at the same time set up a service-oriented humanoid robot project. Transfer them to this new project to arrange new development work. Xiao Yu retracted his gaze and said to himself, 200 people should be enough. Yunshu looked at him in confusion. Didn't you say you wanted to make power armor? Why humanoid robots? Xiao Yu glanced at her. If power armor were so easy to make, it wouldn't have to appear only in movies today. Be pragmatic. Make humanoid robots first. Only when you understand this can you make power armor better. Humanoid robots are the prerequisite technology for power armor. Just understand it this way. Hearing this, Yunshu couldn't help but realize that she was a management talent, not a technical talent, and was not a professional at the technical level. Xiao Yu said so she believed it. After a while, Yunshu opened the list and read through the list of people selected by Xiao Yu, then nodded and said, okay, I'll notify these people and ask them to complete the work handover and then transfer to the new project of humanoid robots. Most of the people selected by Xiao Yu were involved in the Intelligent Medical Operating Table project, especially those who worked on mechanical joints and robotic arms. Many of them were transferred to the new project by Xiao Yu. They had already recruited employees on a large scale before, and now they don't have to worry about insufficient manpower and slow down the overall progress of the project. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264, Major Breakthrough. In the next 2 weeks, Xiao Yu spent most of his working time on promoting the new project of humanoid robot. In the early stage of the new project, Xiao Yu also had to be on the front line frequently and set the general direction to ensure that the team would not deviate from the technical route. At the end of the month, Thursday, February 29th, at about 14:15 this afternoon, Xiao Yu suddenly updated a dynamic message on his personal Weibo account. Lingjing Technology has the world's best technical development team. We are about to launch a new product project and are actively preparing to set up a project development team. The new product is the result of our accumulated technical reserves. In other words, when technology develops to this point, the corresponding products will emerge as a necessary product. What we will do is confidential for now. We are very much looking forward to and optimistic about the prospects of this new project. This brand new product will definitely make people feel quite wow and is expected to become another new strong growth point for the company's performance. Xiao Yu's personal Weibo account has a lot of people watching it, and some institutions even recruit people to work for one thing, just to watch Xiao Yu's Weibo dynamics, especially investment institutions. Because the Weibo he posted can really affect the trend of stock prices, can affect the trend of an industry sector or even the market index. Moreover, Xiao Yu has no regular pattern in posting Weibo. Sometimes he posts one every few days, sometimes several times a day, and sometimes he doesn't post Weibo for a month. There is no pattern at all, so he can only hire people to keep an eye on it. Just after he posted this Weibo, it quickly attracted the attention of all parties, whether it was netizens who were just watching, investors or people in the industry. At the same time, the stock market still has more than 40 minutes to close today. About 3 minutes after Xiao Yu posted this Weibo, the stock price of Lingjing Technology, which had originally risen by less than 1 percentage point and showed a flat trend at the price of 190 yuan, suddenly rose abnormally, and incremental funds obviously poured in. As time passed, the company's stock price continued to rise. At the close of the day, Lingjing Technology walked out of a medium-sized positive line, up plus 6.27%, closing at 200.82 yuan. And the market value rebounded to 17.43 trillion. Since the price of 160.08 yuan was slashed at the beginning of the month and rebounded, it has returned to the 200 yuan mark today. The cumulative increase in this rebound is plus 25.45%. If Xiao Yu hadn't suddenly posted a Weibo today, it would not have risen by 6 percentage points. A Weibo post increased the company's market value by 1 trillion. People in the investment circle said that Xiao Yu really knows how to manage expectations. Xiao Yu did manage expectations when he posted this Weibo today, but it was different from what investors thought. Investors thought that Xiao Yu was making expectations for the market value management of Lingjing Technology. In fact, his Weibo post was for the future launch of humanoid robot products and unilateral armed power armor. Since kicking Zhou Beichuan out and last year's short squeeze that pulled out a group of short sellers who tried to maliciously short the company's stock price, Xiao Yu has never deliberately arranged for the company's stock price trend to do elaborate management of expectations. It's just that today it happened to push the company's stock price to strengthen. After all, what he mentioned in the Weibo did give the capital market a new imagination space. In fact, it's also telling stories and drawing cakes. If others do this, it is unlikely that many people will buy it, and most people will think it is bragging. But this also varies from person to person. Xiao Yu is different. Although he also draws cakes and tells stories, he is really capable of making it happen. At least so far, there has not been a single case of failure, and the stories he tells and the cakes he draws are still the most difficult to achieve, but he can create miracles, even miracles, so everyone buys it. Even epoch-making high-tech products such as the J-36 fighter can be produced. Even before the first generation of products are installed, it has been revealed that the new generation of engine test has been successful, reaching an outrageous 15 Mach. There is also an intelligent medical operating table that has exceeded expectations. The lifespan can be greatly extended through the single-organ cloning project, which has drawn the most attractive epic cake for the world's human beings. The new project he suddenly mentioned on Weibo is almost the same as saying it, because there is no specific information, but he vowed that he is very optimistic about the new project and new products, which can bring another new strong growth point for the company. Given that Xiao Yu had a series of impressive achievements, investors closed their eyes and believed it first. However, after the company's stock price soared today, it entered March the next day and traded sideways around 200 yuan in the first few days of the month. Then it began to adjust and fell below 200 yuan. It adjusted to the half point of the rising middle yang line before it had new support. Around 11:12 a.m. on Monday, March 11th, Lingjing Technology headquarters. "Come in," Xiao Yu, who was in the chairman's office, responded. As soon as he finished speaking, Yun Shu walked in. Xiao Yu saw the joyful expression on her face and couldn't help but ask curiously, "What are you so happy about?" Yun Shu, who came to him, immediately replied, "Good news, the intelligent medical operating table has made significant progress. Not long ago, the project team successfully completed the liver transplant surgery on the first volunteer in the clinical trial using the intelligent operating table. This is the world's first surgical transplant surgery that is completely independent of human doctors. Do you want to go to the clinical laboratory now?" Compared with Yun Shu's excited look, Xiao Yu did not show much emotional fluctuation when he heard the news of the success of the first human clinical trial. Because he knew that this would definitely succeed. After all, it was a mature technology that Blue Star Technology had long been tested. Unless the technical staff of the project team made a human error, it would definitely succeed. "Don't panic, let me post a Weibo first before you go to see it," Xiao Yu said with a smile. Before he finished speaking, he took out his mobile phone and opened his Weibo account, and then quickly edited a message dynamic and posted it. "Recently, there have been many good news. Just now, my assistant came to my office to report a great news. Our intelligent medical operating table has just successfully completed the first liver transplantation operation in human clinical trials without the participation of human doctors. Today must be a day of great significance in the history of human clinical medicine. We are witnessing a historic moment and experiencing the arrival of a new era of clinical medicine. I will not talk about it for now. I have to go to the clinical laboratory to check the situation and report the follow-up situation to you later." Xiao Yu edited a piece of content, scanned it and sent it out directly, then stood up and glanced at the beautiful assistant. Let's go to the clinical laboratory to take a look." After that, the two left the office together and went to the clinical laboratory where the project team was located. At the same time, Xiao Yu suddenly sent a Weibo today without any warning. When everyone saw the content of his Weibo, the outside world immediately exploded. The successful completion of the first surgical transplantation operation in the human clinical trial is much more meaningful and shocking than the success of the animal clinical trial last year. Because this will mean that the commercialization of intelligent medical surgery has truly entered the countdown, and the speed is much faster than expected by people from all walks of life. The news spreads as fast as wings. In the capital market, there are still 20 minutes before the morning session closes. Investors saw this news. Wow! Great good news! Great good news! Hurry up and buy. Lingjing Technology stock price soared, and the huge influx of incremental funds forced it to empty and pull up. In particular, short-term traders who wanted to make a quick buck also rushed to buy. The 17 trillion super large cap stock, the time-sharing line was like pulling onions out of dry land, and it actually pulled out a straight upward trend. Chapter 265, a day that goes into the history of world clinical medicine. Stimulated by Xiao Yu's Weibo message, the share price of Lingjing Technology quickly rose by more than 10 percentage points, easily breaking through the previous high of 212.22 yuan, and the trading volume quickly exceeded 150 billion. At around 11:30, the morning market closed, and the share price of Lingjing Technology was pulled up by funds by more than 15 percentage points, and the share price rushed to 225.47 yuan, and the market value soared to 19.57 trillion. It is rare for such a large plate to soar by 15 percentage points within a day. You know, this has added a net 2.5 trillion to the market value of Lingjing Technology. This stock was not originally on the popularity list of the day, but at this moment, the soaring stock price has attracted a lot of attention from short-term traders, and the popularity index has also soared to the top 3. Xiao Yu's good news on Weibo can be said to have aroused unlimited imagination of funds. He also said that new projects are being prepared, which will also bring a new and strong performance growth point to the company. The company's expectations have been fully met. Today, such exciting news came out again. Not only did the company's own stock price soar, but it also led to the rise of the medical device sector. At the same time, at the headquarters of Lingjing Technology, in the clinical laboratory, Boss Xiao, when the project team members saw the big boss coming here, the person in charge came to him immediately. Xiao Yu waved his hand and said, "What's the situation?" The operation was a great success. The volunteer who received the transplant has been transferred to the anesthesia recovery room for post-operative care. It is expected to wake up in about 3 hours. The person in charge said so, and his words and expressions were full of excitement. In fact, The members of the project team present were very excited, because they knew that today would definitely be recorded in the history of world clinical medicine, and they created this historic moment. Being able to participate in it will definitely become a highlight in their careers. At this moment, Xiao Yu stood by a transparent glass curtain wall and looked inside. Inside was the place where the operation was performed. The intelligent medical operating table was in it. Its smooth metal lines and flashing indicator lights showed its extraordinariness. Look at the picture of the operation process. Xiao Yu stared at the operating table in sight and suddenly said, "There must be a picture record." "Boss Xiao, come this way," the project leader immediately signaled, and Xiao Yu followed him to the control room next to him. He signaled one of the team members to bring up the surgical screen and put it on the big screen for playback. As the screen played, Xiao Yu also watched the big screen silently. Liver transplantation is a relatively large operation. Traditional liver transplantation performed by human surgeons usually takes 4 to 8 hours. In addition, there are differences in factors such as hospital grade and doctor's technical level, and the actual operation time may also be different. But this liver transplantation performed by the intelligent medical operating table took only about 40 minutes to complete, and the efficiency of the operation increased tenfold. The shorter the operation time is, the better it is for the patient, and the less surgical consumables can be used, such as hemostatic gauze. At this moment, the operating laboratory in the screen being played has soft and bright lights. There are no busy medical staff in the traditional operating room, only an intelligent medical operating table in operation. Although there are people and surgical doctors next to them, they are only responsible for observation and will not interfere with the operation unless there is an unexpected change. After the patient volunteer was gently placed on the operating table, the high-precision scanner inside the operating table started up quickly scanning the volunteer's body, collecting detailed information about the liver and its surrounding tissues in the form of a data cloud, and transmitting it to the computer core built into the operating table in milliseconds. The next screen showed that the operation officially began. A surgical robotic arm stretched out steadily from the side of the operating table, and the micro-cutting knife at the front end was accurately close to the predetermined position of the patient's abdomen. As the cutting knife was turned on, a subtle and slightly sharp buzzing sound was emitted. It was a high-frequency vibration cutting technology that can minimize damage to surrounding cells while cutting skin and tissue. The cutting knife slowly cut in along the preset trajectory with micron-level accuracy. Every time it advanced 1 millimeter, the intelligent algorithm inside the operating table dynamically adjusted the cutting force and speed based on the real-time feedback of tissue status data. In just a few minutes, a neat and smooth incision was presented. Then, another robotic arm was quickly in place, and its end was equipped with a set of fine blood vessel and tissue separation devices. The device is like a pair of dexterous hands. It uses nanoscale grippers and laser coagulation beams to accurately separate the intricate blood vessels and tissues around the diseased liver one by one. When the laser coagulation beam contacts the blood vessels, it instantly releases a laser with precisely controlled energy, causing the blood at the blood vessel break to instantly coagulate, avoiding massive bleeding. During the separation process, the high-resolution microscope above the operating table captures every subtle movement in real time and transmits the visual image to the computing core for analysis to ensure the accuracy of the operation. When the diseased liver is successfully separated, the intelligent operating table quickly takes out a matching healthy liver from the sterile storage compartment. A robotic arm specially used for transplantation gently lifts the liver and slowly moves it to the predetermined position in the patient's body. The precision docking device at the front end of the robotic arm starts working. It accurately docks the blood vessels of the liver with the corresponding blood vessels in the patient's body based on the data obtained from the previous scan. At this time, the operating table once again starts another key technology, molecular level welding. By emitting energy waves of a special frequency, the molecular structures at the blood vessel docking are fused to form a firm and seamless connection. This process is not only fast, but also ensures the stability and sealing of the vascular connection, greatly reducing the risk of complications such as post-operative vascular embolism. As a surgeon who has been in the industry for 20 years, after watching the whole process of liver transplantation on this operating table, I can say responsibly that it surpasses the techniques of any human surgical master in the world. A man in his 50s next to Xiao Yu suddenly sighed. He had already watched the whole process, and he was in the picture. He actually intervened in the operation when there was an accident, but the whole operation went quite smoothly and he was not needed. After watching it again, he was still amazed and shocked. However, this surgeon was not worried at all that the smart medical operating table would take his job away, nor was he as anxious as other surgeons. Because he is now an employee of Lingjing Technology, he was recruited by the company to participate in the project. At this moment, he naturally looked at this brand new medical device, the smart operating table, with the eyes of appreciating a work of art. However, at this moment, the picture shows that after completing the vascular docking, the operating table directs the robotic arm to carefully fix and suture the tissues around the liver. Under the control of the robotic arm, the suture needle quickly and accurately pulls the tissues at the edge of the wound together and sutures them. The spacing and depth of each needle are strictly set according to the optimal biological healing model to ensure that the wound can heal smoothly. As the operation was coming to an end, the intelligent medical operating table once again scanned the patient's body in all directions to check whether there were any potential problems in the surgical site. After confirming that everything was correct, the surgical robotic arm slowly retracted, and the operating table began to automatically clean the surgical area, properly storing the used instruments and medical waste. The entire surgical process was completed in one go, efficiently and accurately. Without the direct participation of human doctors, this significant human clinical experimental liver transplantation operation was successfully completed. After watching the entire 40-minute operation, which met Xiao Yu's expectations, he immediately said with satisfaction, "Very good, well done, we have created another miracle in the history of clinical medicine." Chapter 266, Countless people are looking forward to it. The project leader smiled and said, "It's so smooth, some of Mr. Xiao's suggestions are too important." This is not flattery, but an objective fact. Otherwise, the technical development process of the project would never be so smooth, and many technical nodes would make the team very anxious. This is true. Although the big boss did not personally attend the development work at the front line throughout the process, some of the ideas or thoughts put forward during the technical seminar seemed to be the finishing touch. Of course, Xiao Yu was giving the team reference answers in both open and covert ways, which was the finishing touch. After a moment, Xiao Yu smiled and said, "Okay, just leave things here to you. Do a good job of post-operative care for the volunteers." He is the first one, and it will be recorded in the history of clinical medicine. It is also related to the outside world's confidence in the intelligent medical operating table. It is necessary to ensure that the patient recovers fully and can recover after the operation. The person in charge nodded and said, "I understand, the first clinical case is indeed of great significance, and it will also greatly affect the acceptance of volunteers in subsequent clinical trials. When seeing the first person who eats crabs regain a new life, the concerns of other volunteers will be greatly reduced. According to the original plan, there will be more clinical surgical experiments to be carried out in the future. Different types of clinical surgical plans will add up to tens of thousands of times, which is a very astonishing number. For a lung resection alone, there are wedge resection, segmentectomy, combined subsegmentectomy, lobectomy, bronchial sleeve resection, bronchial and pulmonary artery resection, etc. Because Xiao Yu wants to make the smart medical operating table universal and cover all types of surgeries, the same type of surgery will not be done only once, such as liver transplantation, and several more surgeries will be performed later to further verify the stability of the technology. It can be said that it will take 5 to 10 years to complete these clinical experimental surgical processes, and this is still efficient. In other words, it will take at least 5 years for a truly universal smart medical operating table to be implemented, and it will take so much time no matter how efficient it is. However, this does not mean that the implementation of the smart medical operating table will really take so long. Non-universal ones can be applied first. Xiao Yu's plan is to let smart medical surgery do those representative and common surgical clinical experiments first. For example, lung disease, cardiovascular disease and other types. First, let the intelligent medical operating table master these types of diseases with a large number of patients or expensive surgical costs. Even if the medical operating table can only perform surgery on one type of patient, it is enough for the hospital to introduce this new medical equipment, because it is definitely in short supply. There is no way. Medical resources have always been very tight. Little do people know that major hospitals in China, especially large hospitals, are overcrowded all year round, which shows how tight medical resources are. When it is gradually universalized in the future, the equipment can be updated and upgraded. At the end, Xiao Yu immediately said, "Edit this clinical surgery video for me and cut out the key points." Xiao Yu smiled and added, "I guess the whole network is waiting for my Weibo message now." The people present couldn't help but laugh, and the person in charge nodded and said, "No problem, I will ask someone to copy the material and edit it immediately." After talking with everyone for a while, Xiao Yu left the place. At the same time, there are indeed thousands of people on the internet who are squatting on Xiao Yu's Weibo page, refreshing the page from time to time to see if there are any new developments. After all, in the last Weibo post, Xiao Yu said that he would go to the clinical laboratory to check the situation and then report the news to the whole network. Everyone is discussing that Xiao Yu is probably still in the clinical laboratory at this moment. Countless people are looking forward to it, and a large number of investors are now staring at Xiao Yu's Weibo and refreshing the page from time to time. The heat at this moment is already full, and it has already rushed to the hot search list of the whole network at noon. Major media are also competing to quote the report, including the news that caused the stock price of Lingjing Technology to rise sharply, which has also been hotly discussed. Xiao Yu's Weibo has already caused the company's market value to surge by 2.5 trillion today. Surgeons are also particularly concerned about this news. Although Xiao Yu emphasized that the birth of the intelligent medical operating table has limited impact on human doctors, it is more about opening up the increase in medical resources. Having said that, it is definitely false to say that surgeons are not worried that their career prospects will be impacted by the birth of this new thing. This is also human nature, but the development of science and technology is unstoppable. In the future, with the birth and maturity of single-organ cloning technology, the current scale of human surgeons will be completely insufficient. Intelligent medical operating tables have also come into being. This is an inevitable trend. Many human surgeons are also well aware of this. Such a trend cannot be stopped by human power. In fact, they have been preparing for the arrival of this day, but they are still a little caught off guard. Because it came too fast, I never expected that the development of intelligent medical operating tables would be so rapid. This has successfully achieved the first transplantation operation in human clinical trials. This success is of extraordinary significance, and the impact is far-reaching and huge, far exceeding last year's clinical experiments on animals. Some people are anxious and sad, and there must be others who are happy. For hospitals with tight medical resources, they must be happy to see the implementation of intelligent medical surgery as soon as possible, especially some hospitals that do not have the ability to perform major operations. After introducing the set of medical equipment, they can also perform surgical operations in the future. For example, some county-level hospitals often do not have the ability to perform major operations, and patients have to go to hospitals in big cities for treatment. It is definitely a welcome sight for patients, especially those living in small places, who can undergo surgery in county-level hospitals without any further hassles. Moreover, according to Xiao Yu's previous description, the large-scale application of smart medical operating tables will inevitably greatly reduce the cost of surgical operations, and patients will also spend a lot less money. The most cost-reducing factor is that the smart medical operating table developed by Lingjing Technology is universal. The so-called universality, in human terms, means that different types of operations can be performed, whether it is liver transplantation, kidney transplantation or heart transplantation, or appendectomy, etc. Smart medical operating tables can handle it. Traditionally, this requires a lot of specialist teams, which obviously increases the operating cost burden of the hospital. With a smart medical operating table, it can be simplified and medical resources can be optimized, and the comprehensive cost can naturally be greatly reduced. Of course, the cost of patients spending money on medical treatment can also be reduced accordingly. It can be foreseen that with the implementation of smart medical operating tables, it can greatly optimize the adjustment and adaptation of medical resources and solve the problem that the current high-quality surgical resources are overly concentrated in developed large cities. Now patients who want to have major surgery often have to go to big cities. There is no way. High-quality surgical resources and high-quality surgical doctors are not available in county-level hospitals. After the intelligent medical operating table is put into use, county-level hospitals can also purchase and deploy this medical equipment. Patients do not have to travel long distances to large hospitals for surgery, and patients from all over the country do not have to squeeze medical resources together. In the future, they can just have surgery in their respective county-level hospitals, which is obviously of great benefit to the optimization of overall medical resources. Chapter 267, Technology Downgraded but Still Full of Black Technology. After leaving the clinical laboratory, Xiao Yu returned to his office and waited for a while. The edited video was sent to him. The video was about 5 minutes long. The beginning of the video also reminded the audience that some scenes that may cause physical discomfort may appear, so watch with caution. After a moment, Xiao Yu immediately opened his Weibo account and began to edit the content. This is another miracle in the history of clinical medicine. The performance of the intelligent medical operating table exceeded our expectations. It not only completed the liver transplant operation accurately, but also minimized the trauma to the patient. It not only brought new life to Mr. Zhao, but also opened up a new path for future medical technology. It not only represents a new direction for future medical care, but also brings new hope to countless patients. We believe that with a continuous advancement of technology, mankind will be able to overcome more diseases and save more lives. I don't know if you have a feeling that in the past 1 or 2 years, I feel that many of the scenes we have seen in science fiction movies in the past have now appeared more and more in our real life. We are steadily moving towards the forefront of world scientific and technological innovation. From another perspective, some forces want to suppress and block us, which will only further accelerate the pace of our independent innovation. Those who cannot defeat us will only make us stronger. Xiao Yu took a quick look and confirmed that there was no problem before posting this Weibo. At this moment, netizens, media reporters, doctors and investors all over the internet were paying close attention to Xiao Yu's Weibo. Not long after he posted this Weibo, media reporters quoted it one after another. The video that was released was also quickly forwarded, attracting countless people to watch. It is worth mentioning that although this intelligent medical operating table has been downgraded by Xiao Yu's technology, it is still full of black technology in the eyes of contemporary people, especially some professionals in the industry. At this moment, after Xiao Yu posted the Weibo, he did not log out, but waited for a while and then refreshed the page to read the comments. His Weibo was very popular at this moment, and thousands of people from all walks of life were watching. After waiting for a while, Xiao Yu refreshed the page and it showed that there were thousands of comments. Every time the page was refreshed, the comments were rapidly increasing. After watching this clinical operation video released by Brother Xiao, this operating table is definitely a science fiction movie that has come into reality. It's amazing, yes. The days are getting more and more technological, even science fiction. When I was a child, I wrote an essay imagining that 20 years later, except for cars flying in the sky, everything else has basically been realized. Cars can fly, too. Sky trains are also cars. They are already flying. Lin Hao has taken the lead in developing a low-altitude economy. With the speed of technological development, it feels like the birth of flying cars is also coming soon. Indeed, concepts that only existed in science fiction movies before have been realized one after another in recent years. I can't help but sigh at the development of the times. 30 years have passed in a flash, and many joys and sorrows have created a new world. China has undergone tremendous changes, and today we are moving forward together. Perhaps we are already experiencing the next industrial revolution, and this time it should not be to the extent of eliminating humans. For those who are in a career or confused, refer to the impact of the previous industrial revolutions. There must be challenges. Some people may lose their original comfort zone, but there will still be opportunities. At the same time, the project team leader is hosting an impromptu press conference to further announce the details of this human clinical trial. When it was time for reporters to ask questions, a reporter said, "The outside world is generally concerned about the safety and reliability of this new medical device. It is impossible that there will never be any accidents, right? To ensure that there are no accidents, some people think that it is necessary to establish a comprehensive understanding of the patient's physical condition and ensure that all states of related systems are known. The problem is that humans' understanding of the human body is still very superficial, and the causes of many diseases have not yet been found. Some people think that if well-known problems of the human body can be established and improved, then all diseases can be cured. In this regard, what does the spokesperson think of these issues that the outside world is concerned about?" After a moment, the project leader answered in an orderly manner, "It is an ideal state to want every operation to be 100% successful. When the sample size is large enough, there will always be inevitable failures. Even operations performed by human doctors cannot guarantee success this time, he continued. Our clinical data shows that in the past year, our team has conducted more than 1,500 animal clinical experiments, and the success rate of the operation has reached 96.98%, which is far higher than the success rate of human surgeons. Obviously, if you are worried that the smart medical operating table is unreliable, and you are not worried about the lower success rate of human surgeons, this is pure resistance to new things and stereotypes. Everyone was shocked when they heard that the success rate reached 96.98%, especially the surgeons in the industry. However, after watching the clinical operation video officially released by Lingjing Technology, they had to admire that the operation of the entire operation was at the master level, and its accuracy was a level that human hands could never achieve in their lifetime. The project leader added, the smart medical operating table itself does not have the ability to innovate. I remember that Mr. Xiao had introduced its general principle before. It learns from the countless surgical experience big data summarized by human doctors and combines it with its own hardware new technology to carry out the operation. In simple terms, the general process of the operation is that the patient consults a human doctor, who determines the condition and chooses the surgical plan, while the smart medical operating table plays the role of executing the surgical plan, releasing the human surgeon from the frontline operating table. In layman's terms, in an operation, it does what the human surgeon does, and the surgical process is the same. If it fails in the operation, it is even less likely for the human surgeon to succeed. When the press conference reached this point, it was already 1300 hours, and the A-share market opened in the afternoon at the same time. The current heat index of Lingjing Technology stock has already rushed to the top of the popularity list of individual stocks in the two cities. With the opening of the afternoon, the time-sharing line with an increase of more than 15 percentage points rose again. At 13:16, major market software pushed a message. Lingjing Technology rose plus 20.00% in the afternoon and closed at the daily limit. The stock price reached 235.03 yuan. The total market value once again returned to the 20 trillion mark, 20.4 trillion, and the current transaction volume was 275.5 billion. At this moment, the popularity index of the stock can be said to be full, and it has ushered in a long-awaited daily limit again, with a net increase of 3.4 trillion in market value within one day. This is also the first daily limit since entering 2024, and it has once again regained the 20 trillion market value mark. Chapter 268, finally reaching a new historical high. The strong support of funds is also a sign of people's desire to rise. At the same time, the volatility of the A-share market is indeed very large. It is also an objective fact that this market is highly speculative, which has magnified the volatility of individual stocks. However, it is also exaggerated that a super large cap stock like Lingjing Technology can still be pushed out of the 20-centimeter daily limit today. The most core factor is that a company's expectations are too strong, and the fundamental logic is strong enough. The historic breakthrough of the smart medical operating table this time has made people from all walks of life who are paying attention to the event realize that the implementation of the smart medical operating table is much faster than everyone imagined, which is definitely beyond expectations. Previously, most people believe that although this technology is promising in the future, it will remain in the laboratory stage for a long time. Unexpectedly, the first human clinical trial has been successfully completed. At this rate, in 2 years or at most 3 years, major hospitals can purchase and introduce the equipment. The capital market is naturally excited immediately, which means that Lingjing Technology is about to open a $1 trillion market size, and the company also has extremely strong technical monopoly data. Because, for now, only Lingjing Technology has made this kind of high-tech medical equipment in the world. If major hospitals want to use this technology, they can only place orders from Lingjing Technology. And the intelligent medical operating table will definitely be introduced by major hospitals, because this product has high efficiency and can make the surgical capabilities of county-level hospitals not inferior to those of first-tier cities. For investors in the capital market, monopoly business is always the most profitable, especially technology monopoly products. However, in the capital market at this moment, Lingjing Technology stock price fell back within 3 minutes of closing. This is in line with many people's expectations. It is too difficult to close the daily limit directly until the closing, and the volume is not enough, so it needs to be replenished. The 20 trillion plate is too big, the sedan is too heavy, and it is quite strenuous to lift it. Moreover, the stock price has risen to 235.03 yuan, which is close to the historical high of 239.89 yuan. The locked-in disk at this position also needs to be untied, which has increased the selling pressure. Many people expected that the funds at this position would be very different. But the bulls in the market are also stronger than the imagination of various funds. Near the end of the trading day at 1447, more funds bought a divergence, and the originally weak stock price directly turned into consensus. The stock price rose strongly in the late trading and finally closed the daily limit. As of the close, Lingjing Technology closed up plus 20.00% at 235.03 yuan, with a daily turnover of 421.2 billion and a market value of 20.4 trillion. From the perspective of the chip peak, today's daily limit has released all the locked-in funds, and the profit making has reached 100%. The chips at the previous high of 239.89 yuan have either left or covered their positions to reduce costs, so there is no one standing guard at the sharp bottom. The next day, the popularity index of Lingjing Technology stock is still firmly at the top of the list. Thousands of investors and stockholders are watching this stock. The stock price has reached the previous high. After a year and a half, whether the historical high of 239.89 yuan can be broken today is of great concern to many people. The first two attempts to reach a new high failed. The first one stopped at 231.29 yuan, and the second one at 212.22 yuan. After the morning call auction ended, Lingjing Technology opened slightly lower, and the opening price fell back. Some short-term customers who came in yesterday to do intraday ultra-short arbitrage saw the low opening and fell, and worried that the third breakthrough would fail, so they mainly focused on protecting the existing few points of profit and evacuated in advance. However, 3 minutes after the opening, Lingjing Technology stock price stopped falling, and was continuously swept up by large orders. Billions of dollars were bought all the way. In less than 2 minutes, the stock price broke away from the zero axis and turned red. In the next few minutes, the stock price rose strongly all the way. At 9:36, major market software pushed a message, Lingjing Technology rose by more than plus 2%, and the stock price stood above the 240 yuan mark, setting a historical high, and the current transaction volume exceeded 80 billion Linhuang 666. Finally a new historical high. I said, it can be done once or twice, but not 3 times. If it fails to break through again this time, it will be difficult to reach a new high in the future. A stockholder was also very excited when he saw the stock price of Lingjing Technology hit a new high. Because he also invested in this company, the strategy is long-term investment, and the purchase position is relatively high. The cost of building a position is around 200 yuan. He has held the position for a year and has not sold a single share. He has continued to cover his position in the past year. After receiving his salary, he used the remaining spare money to cover his position in the stock, and he did not choose the time. He bought it as soon as he received his salary. After a year, he gradually covered his position to heavy position, and now the cost of holding the position has dropped to 178 yuan. After being trapped for nearly a year, he finally turned from a floating loss to a floating profit in the past month. At present, the floating profit has exceeded 34 percentage points, and it is still expanding, because after the stock price of Lingjing Technology hit a new high, it did not fall back, but accelerated its upward attack. This breakthrough is indeed very critical. If the third breakthrough fails and it approaches the previous high position in the future, most funds will have a strong desire to sell and do T operations when they see that the previous 3 times have fallen back. Even if part of the position is sold, there are also a huge number of people holding this ticket. Everyone sells a little, and the total amount is a huge amount of selling pressure. If such a consensus expectation is formed, the difficulty of breaking through in the future will soar exponentially. After breaking through the new high, the stock price of Lingjing Technology showed a unilateral upward trend throughout the day, with both volume and price rising. By the close of the market, there was another big positive line. With a post-market increase of plus 12.37% to 264.10 yuan, a daily turnover of 395.3 billion, and a market value of 22.92 trillion. In the past 2 days, the stock price of Lingjing Technology has risen sharply, and the siphon effect of funds on the entire market is also particularly obvious. Although the index is also rising, in fact, A few banks and blue-chip stocks with Chinese characters support the index, and small and medium-sized stocks have fallen miserably. There were less than 1,000 stocks rising in the city, and more than 4,000 stocks turned green and fell. Every time Lingjing Technology went through a large positive line with large volume, in the case of insufficient incremental funds in the entire market, it sucked away the funds in the market. Most of the funds went to participate in the game of Lingjing Technology, resulting in a large outflow of funds from other stocks, which naturally fell miserably. In the next 2 trading days, Lingjing Technology adjusted for 2 consecutive days, closing down -4.05% and -2.75% respectively. On the 3rd trading day, it opened slightly lower in the morning and then quickly fell, falling more than -3.5% at one point, breaking the 5-day moving average support, and almost engulfed the second positive line at one time. But in the afternoon, it staged a deep V reversal, re-standing on the 5-day moving average, and finally closed up plus 1.25% at 249.52 yuan. The next day, Lingjing Technology directly reversed and repaired, opening with volume and attacking, and it only took 20 minutes for the stock price to hit a new historical high. Today, another big positive line appeared, and the stock price rose by plus 11.09% after the market, closing at 277.19 yuan. The trading volume also increased to 350 billion, which was 170 billion more than the previous day's 179.7 billion. The company's market value also soared to 24.06 trillion. In just 6 days, Lingjing Technology stock price rose by more than 41 percentage points, and its market value increased by a huge 7 trillion, nearly $1 trillion. In October last year, it fell to 121.03 yuan. Looking back now, it was a super gold pit. It started at 121.03 yuan and has doubled to now. The cumulative increase has reached plus 129.02%. Some people are happy and some are sad. Those who bought a bottom in October last year and got it now are smiling, while those who evacuated in panic at that time are not smiling. Lingjing Technology stock price has skyrocketed to a new high in the past few days, and Mr. Duan has been mentioned again by many stockholders, who said that Mr. Duan has suffered a huge loss and wanted to slap his thigh. He clearly bought a large position at the bottom, but ended up selling at the bottom, missing out on doubling his profits. The outside stockholders who just watched the show did not know the real reason why Mr. Duan sold at that time, and they did not know that Mr. Duan secretly used many vests to buy back quietly. Obviously, Mr. Duan made a lot of money, but he did not dare to make a fuss about it, and chose to make a fortune quietly. If he was found out by Yuang, he would definitely suffer the consequences. Chapter 269, 2023 Financial Report. Lingjing Technology stock price hit a record high of 277.19 yuan, pushing its market value to 24.06 trillion yuan, which is equivalent to $3.34 trillion without considering exchange rate changes. This figure also makes Lingjing Technology the world's largest listed company by market value again after a year and a half. Before this, the company with the largest market value in the world was Sierra AI, founded by Xiao Yu's stand-in Peter Vitas, with a current market value of $3.16 trillion. Microsoft ranks third in the latest ranking with a market value of $3 trillion, followed by Apple with a market value of $2.66 trillion, and Nvidia with a market value of $2.14 trillion, ranking fifth. A listed company from a big country in the East ranked first in the world, which made the capital groups in the West unable to sit still, especially Amagalika, which claims to have global financial hegemony and control global pricing power, immediately began to suppress the stock price of Lingjing Technology. Because America cares about this CASIC very much, just like they care about the fact that the world's richest man must be from the West. This CASIC is very important to them. America can now be said to be completely supported by finance to attract global capital. As a result, people see that the world's richest man is not in America, and the world's largest company by market value is not in America. This kind of scene will confuse global capital and will look east. Therefore, after seeing that Lingjing Technology has once again topped the world's #1 stock, Western capital immediately secretly suppressed the company's stock price. It would rather not make money, or even make a small loss, As long as the stock price is brought down and the throne of the largest stock by market value can be snatched away. In the next few days, Lingjing Technology peaked at 277.19 yuan and began to fall into an adjustment period. Xiao Yu doesn't care whether Lingjing Technology's market value is the world's largest stock by market value, because he doesn't need this cassock, and Gongda doesn't need it either. Moreover, Xiao Yu did not deliberately manage the company's market value, and let the various funds in the market gamble. Such a large plate, with a market value of more than 20 trillion, cannot be maintained without strong fundamentals. The strongest fundamental of Lingjing Technology is Xiao Yu, and Xiao Yu is supported by the black technology of almost the entire blue star world. Even if the stock price is deliberately shorted, the fall is only temporary. As long as the fundamental logic itself is there, once the force of the trend forms a combined force, such a large plate cannot be suppressed by any funds. In the next month or so, Lingjing Technology stock price was secretly suppressed by the capital of the United States and the West, and the company's stock price was also suppressed to 220.58 yuan in mid to late April. Compared with the historical high, the cumulative correction has exceeded 20 percentage points, reaching minus 20.042%, evaporating nearly 5 trillion market value. Lingjing Technology stock price also fell below the 20 trillion mark, reaching 19.14 trillion, equivalent to 2.65 trillion US dollars. With a market value of 3.22 trillion US dollars, Sierra AI has regained the throne of the world's largest stock by market value. And Lingjing Technology ranks third after Microsoft. It is not easy for overseas short-selling capital forces to bring down the stock price of this stock. They are playing this operation with fear and trepidation. It can be said that they are cautious, and they dare not suppress it too hard. It is really risky and they may be forced to sell. Because the performance fundamentals of Lingjing Technology are indeed strong enough, they know it in their hearts. This stock has become the belief of tens of millions of retail investors. If it falls too hard, the retail investors who are bottom fishing will really dare to take action, and there is a real possibility of being forced to sell. In order to suppress the stock price of Lingjing Technology, overseas short-selling capital forces can accept a small loss, but they can never accept the cost of a warehouse explosion. Their purpose this time is not to make a profit by short-selling, but to get Lingjing Technology off the top spot of the world's largest stock by market value. It is enough to achieve this goal. They will not desperately beat the stock price to death. They are also afraid of being forced to sell and losing their underwear. Moreover, they have not forgotten that April is the critical moment, and the annual report will be disclosed soon. Referring to the previous financial report period of Lingjing Technology, every time the financial report exceeded expectations, the stock price of Lingjing Technology has soared sharply. With the last few days left for the annual report disclosure, the stock price of Lingjing Technology is obviously unable to fall, and there is strong support near the price of 220 yuan. This time the annual report was disclosed later than last year. The financial report disclosure of Lingjing Technology is irregular, and investors have long been accustomed to it. However, April is about to end, and there are only a few days left. Referring to the previous financial report disclosure period, the stock price has risen sharply. In recent days, short-term traders have also begun to pay attention. Funds obviously have memory. Thursday, April 25th, Lingjing Technology headquarters. Xiao Yu took time out to come to the company today because the annual report came out today, and he came to listen to Yunshu's report. In the chairman's office, Xiao Yu waited for a while and heard a knock on the door. "Come in." Xiao Yu looked in the direction of the voice and saw a beautiful woman in an OL professional suit coming in. It was Yunshu, who also brought the annual report information. The company exceeded its performance target in the fourth quarter, thanks to the expansion of the graphene battery business into the new energy vehicle field, which contributed most of the company's revenue in the fourth quarter, Yunshu said as she walked towards Xiao Yu. Sitting down next to him, Yunshu continued, "The total revenue in the fourth quarter reached 335.826 billion, and the net profit was 110.815 billion. At this point, she handed the annual report document to Xiao Yu, who opened it and browsed it, mainly looking at the key data. Yunshu glanced at Xiao Yu and said, "According to the annual report data, in 2023, the company's annual revenue will be 876.513 billion, a year-on-year increase of plus 271.95%. Net profit will be 284.464 billion, a year-on-year increase of plus 290.66%, and the company's cash reserves will reach a new high of 755 billion. After reading the financial report, Xiao Yu put it aside and smiled. Fortunately, the graphene battery business has made efforts in the field of new energy vehicles, otherwise it may not be able to achieve the set revenue performance target of 800 billion this year. Yunshu asked, "We distributed dividends once in the first half of last year. Will we distribute dividends in the second half of the year?" Hearing this, Xiao Yu said without hesitation, "Of course we have to distribute. We have promised to distribute 1/3 of the net profit as dividends every year. How can we break our promise? Of course we will distribute in the second half of the year." While saying this, he was also calculating in his mind that Linzhou City is going to build a new 358-kilometer long-distance air train line. The city's fiscal budget, taking into account the sharp increase in tax revenue from Lingjing Technology this year, is probably still not enough. Because not all the taxes paid by Lingjing Technology go to Linzhou City. The province takes a part, and the national treasury takes a part. The money for the new long-distance air train line needs to be paid by Linzhou City, so it must still issue bonds. Xiao Yu also promised that if there is a lack of money to issue bonds to promote the air train project, he will let Lingjing Technology apply for local bonds, that is, Lingjing Technology lends money to Linzhou City. In the end, Xiao Yu couldn't help but nod to himself. The company now has more than 750 billion in cash flow. Take out part of it for dividends and another part for buying bonds. There should be more than half left, which is enough. After a moment, Xiao Yu turned his head to look at Yunshu and added, "Okay, that's the decision. You go and arrange it. Disclose the annual report and disclose the cash dividend plan for the second half of 2023. At the same time, Yunshu nodded and immediately set off to make arrangements. Chapter 270, Amazing Growth Curve. The next day is Friday. Lingjing Technology issued an announcement this afternoon that it will disclose the company's 2023 annual financial report and dividend plan in the evening. It is mainly for the board of directors' resolution process and the necessary procedures for the dividend plan to go through, otherwise it can be disclosed during the day. The announcement was released at around 14:45 in the afternoon, 15 minutes before the stock market closed. Driven by this news, Lingjing Technology received a large amount of funds in the late trading, pushing the stock price up abnormally. Finally, the closing came out of the bold long positive line, and the after-hours surge of plus 5.27% closed at 237.97 yuan, with a market value of 20.65 trillion yuan, regaining the 20 trillion market value mark. At around 8 o'clock in the evening, Lingjing Technology's 2023 annual report and its dividend plan were officially announced to the public. The company's annual revenue was 876.513 billion, a year-on-year increase of plus 271.95%. Net profit was 284.464 billion, a year-on-year increase of plus 290.66%, and net earnings per share was 3.277 yuan, which is about 20% higher than the pre-disclosure announcement of the annual report released last month. Specifically, the graphene materials business is still the company's core source of revenue, and the AI business is also steadily improving. Lingjing Technology's performance has always exceeded the expectations of market analysts, and the growth rate is the most shocking data. The company's revenue scale is getting bigger and bigger, and the performance growth rate has not slowed down, but has surged sharply. According to the company's 2022 performance data, the year-on-year growth rate of revenue in the current period is plus 200.71%, and the year-on-year growth rate of net profit is plus 236.59%. This year's year-on-year growth rate of revenue has directly expanded to plus 271.95%, and the year-on-year growth rate of net profit has expanded to plus 290.66%. The solid performance data proves that the company's development momentum is still in full swing, and there is no sign of weakening, but it is getting stronger and stronger. The dividend plan was also announced today. This is the third dividend paid by Lingjing Technology since its listing. The company decided to use the performance in the second half of 2023 as the base, and plans to distribute 6.5 yuan for every 10 shares, with a total cash dividend of 56.42 billion yuan. The dividend resolution was passed by the company's board of directors. In addition to the cash dividend of 39.06 billion in the first half of 2023, the total dividend for the 2 times throughout the year added up to 95.48 billion. Such a dividend scale has also aroused heated discussions among stockholder investors. In 2023, the company with the most A-share dividends was the first bank in the universe, with a total dividend of 109.203 billion, followed by CCB, with a dividend amount of 100 billion. Lingjing Technologies 95.48 billion ranked third, followed by Agricultural Bank of China with a dividend of 80.8 billion in the fourth, and Zhongxing with a dividend of 69.593 billion in the fifth. Great, brother Xiao is very generous. According to this trend, in 2024, it will definitely become the listed company with the highest dividends in the A-share market. It's a done deal, a retail investor felt happy after reading the dividend announcement. Obviously, he is also one of the investors of Lingjing Technology, and he is doing value investment. He currently holds 1,600 shares, with a floating profit of about plus 88%, a holding value of 715,000 yuan, and has obtained a return on investment of 330,000 yuan. The investment income currently brought to him by this company is mainly contributed by the rise in stock prices, and the dividend income is a bit of a mosquito leg. In 2023, the dividend was an astronomical figure of more than 95 billion yuan, but the current total share capital of Lingjing Technology has also reached 86.8 billion shares. Roughly speaking, the dividend funds that can be obtained for the 1,600 shares in his hand are 1,760 yuan. Now, the dividend is not high, but those who decide to make long-term value investments obviously pay more attention to future expectations and growth rates. According to this momentum, if the performance in 2024 can reach a growth rate of plus 300%, his 1,600 shares can receive a current dividend of 7,040 yuan. If this growth rate is maintained until 2025, he can get 28,160 yuan. By 2027, he can recover the investment cost and earn an additional 220,000 yuan just by cash dividend income. Obviously, this exponential growth momentum is terrifying and is the core driving force to attract investors to make long-term investments. Even if the absolute number of dividend income is not high now, the income brought by the rise in stock prices is far greater than cash dividends, but it cannot be pocketed. Because if you want to continue to receive dividend income, you have to hold the shares, unless you sell part of the shares to pocket them, but this will reduce the number of shares held, and the dividend income in the future will have to be reduced accordingly. So some trade-offs need to be made. Some retail investors will also choose to sell some when the stock price rises sharply to realize cash, and are willing to take less dividends, and also think about buying them back when the stock price falls, so they can make a big profit again. However, after the vast majority of stockholders sold their shares, when they wanted to buy them back, they found that the company's stock price was higher than the price at which they sold them. From the perspective of the long cycle such as the annual line, the stock price of Lingjing Technology has been rising continuously, with no new lows at the low point and continuous new highs at the high point. Most retail stockholders have poor investment timing and stock selection ability, so they choose to hold their shares. According to the data disclosed in Lingjing Technology's annual report, the company's latest number of institutional holdings has reached 2,655, making it the listed company with the most institutional participation among all A-share listed companies. The number of shareholder accounts is even more exaggerated. The latest data given in the announcement has reached an astonishing 19.57 million households, which is about to approach 20 million. Lingjing Technology is also the A-share listed company with the largest number of retail investors. The total number of stock accounts in the A-share market is currently 230 million, but a stockholder can open up to 3 accounts at the same time, and there are definitely not so many actual stockholders. There are only more than 56 million active accounts, which means that nearly 70% of stockholders are no longer active. Probably because of losses or choosing to exit after making profits. In fact, only a few people exit with profits, and most stockholders do not want to open accounts because of losses. Investors in Lingjing Technology are relatively active, because those who buy this stock and hold it for more than a year will not lose money, and the company's stock price has recently reached a record high. Investors holding Lingjing Technology are relatively active, and the reason is very simple. Because this stock can make money, investors are naturally concerned. If the account is profitable, investors will open their accounts more frequently to take a look. Especially in the past year, the stock price of Lingjing Technology has been fluctuating in a large box for a whole year, and the fluctuation is still large. Many investors also do T operations of selling high and buying low in this fluctuation range, which further increases the activity of the holder's account. The fact is that if calculated according to active accounts, now there is an investor holding at least 100 shares of Lingjing Technology for every 3 active accounts. This can also explain to a large extent why this ticket only needs to pull a big positive line of more than 5 points, and the popularity index rushes to the top of the 2 markets on the same day. Driven by the announcement of the annual report and dividend plan, Lingjing Technology opened high without any suspense on Monday, April 29th, after the weekend. The opening was a high profile without any retracement, with both volume and price rising. The closing price rose by plus 15.08% on the same day, reporting 273.86 yuan, with a total turnover of 398.8 billion yuan and a market value of 23.77 trillion yuan. After the new high of 277.19 yuan, it adjusted for more than a month. The surge of 2 positive lines in 2 days has once again reached the new high. This ticket once again illustrates that as long as it falls, you dare to boldly buy the bottom and often make a lot of money. After today's closing, the company's market value is equivalent to $3.3 trillion. Speaking of which, if there were no malicious suppression by the diving funds in the West today, it is very likely to set a new high or even close the board limit. In the following May, the stock price of Lingjing Technology was sideways near the historical high of 260 to 270 yuan, and it formed a box-shaped oscillation pattern. The reason why the stock price cannot fall is that the long-term funds have a strong willingness to buy, and the reason why the stock price cannot rise is that Western diving capital is suppressing the stock price, but they dare not take the risk of suppressing it with huge capital, so it is stuck here. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271, Purchasing and Delivery. In order to keep the world's largest stock by market value in the magnesium stock market, Magnesium Western Capital Group has recently adjusted its strategy. In addition to suppressing the share price of Lingjing Technology, they chose to increase the market value of Sierra AI. When the market value of Lingjing Technology reached $3.3 trillion, Sierra AI's market value also hit a record high of $3.5 trillion. Lingjing Technology briefly topped the world's largest stock by market value, but was overtaken by Sierra AI again a few days later. Many people have also seen some clues. It seems that the two companies are competing at the market value level. Some people interpret it as a concrete manifestation of the line between the East and the West at the financial capital level. In fact, this is just a unilateral competition between M&E. Xiao Yu did not deliberately manage the market value of Lingjing Technology at all. The PK with M&E's short capital is the long side of the market itself. Xiao Yu has been paying attention to the trend of Lingjing Technology stock price in the secondary market during this period, because he has shifted his focus elsewhere. After entering May, Xiao Yu started to do another thing, that is, preparing to go to the Blue Star world again to deliver goods and purchase goods. This time, the main purpose of going to the Blue Star world to purchase goods is to transfer some room temperature superconducting materials from there to the Earth. In addition, some ultra-high purity quality graphene materials will also be obtained. In a few years, graphene materials will no longer need to be transferred from the Blue Star world. The intelligent super factory in the new headquarters park has established a complete production line. In time, it will be completely autonomous and large-scale production will be possible, and it will no longer rely on getting goods from the Blue Star world. However, room temperature superconducting materials can only be transferred from the Blue Star world because they cannot be synthesized. Even the Blue Star world directly mines naturally existing room temperature superconducting veins for refining. And the delivery, of course, is food supplies. Xiao Yu also has to fulfill his promise to the Blue Star Red Tide to provide 2 million tons of food supplies every year. After nearly a year, Xiao Yu has prepared millions of tons of grain and food supplies in the name of charity in the magnesium world by controlling the incarnation Peter Vitas, and is still increasing the amount. Millions of tons of grains have been prepared and are now waiting to be taken away. And it can't be delayed for too long, otherwise they will be forced to give them all out as charity. It was mid-May, and Xiao Yu returned home after arranging the work of the two companies. Uncle Qin, don't let anyone disturb me, including Chu Jingmen. Xiao Yu found the housekeeper Qin Yu and explained it. The latter nodded and asked, how long will you be in seclusion this time? From Qin Yu's perspective, the young head of the family had a habit of locking himself in the private laboratory in the basement from time to study. He didn't know what he was studying, and during this period, no one was allowed to disturb him. Xiao Yu replied casually, I don't know, maybe a few hours, maybe a few days. After that, he turned and walked straight to the private laboratory in the basement of the villa, and closed the door tightly. It was still a smart lock. Without Xiao Yu's authorization, people from outside could not get in, and even if they broke the door violently, it would take a lot of effort. Blue Star World, Fengquan City, private villa residence. Xiao Yu stepped over the teleportation star gate and closed it, then left the bedroom and called the housekeeper Robot Beauty number 18. Master, what do you want? The robot housekeeper Beauty came to him, and Xiao Yu immediately ordered, where's the head disguise leather cover I asked you to buy last time? Go and get it, I want to use it, please wait. The robot Beauty left for a while, and when she came back again, she brought what Xiao Yu wanted. The robot Beauty immediately helped him put on the head disguise leather cover, which was made of a special silicone material. After putting it on, Xiao Yu came to the mirror and looked at it. The facial features in the mirror had completely changed, becoming a European face. Even if they were face-to-face at close range, there was no clue, unless there was actual contact and tearing. Xiao Yu nodded with satisfaction, sent the robot Beauty housekeeper away, and immediately returned to the bedroom. He opened the teleportation star gate again, and then disappeared into the Blue Star World. Earth, Africa. It's troublesome if the teleportation star ring can't be taken off, a man walking somewhere in Africa complained to himself in his heart, and it was Xiao Yu. Previously, he went to the Blue Star World to disguise himself and then came to Africa on Earth. The reason was that the teleportation ring could not be taken off, and there was another limitation that he could not choose the coordinate position at will. He had to go to the site to light up the coordinate position by himself before he could directly choose to teleport to the coordinate point. In the matter of dealing with food and supplies, Xiao Yu could not use his organic body and let his substitute do it. He had to go in person. Fortunately, I went abroad when I was dealing with gold mines, otherwise it would be quite a headache. Xiao Yu couldn't help but secretly said that he went to many places in Africa when he went abroad, and it was his own trip, so he lit up many coordinate positions in Africa. It is not easy for Xiao Yu to go abroad now. He has to report to the country, and the country does not recommend him to go abroad unless it is necessary. The head disguise leather cover can also change his identity to travel, but this requires a new identity, otherwise he can't even pass the airport security check, and the risk is quite high and it is very troublesome. Fortunately, he went to Africa at the beginning, and now he can be directly teleported from the Blue Star World to the African land through the teleportation ring. It was because many coordinates were lit up in Africa that Xiao Yu controlled his stand-in Peter Viras to prepare to build a large grain storage center in Africa in the name of charity. This is why it took a year to prepare more than 3 million tons of grain. Moreover, the efficiency is already quite fast. After all, it is done by the European magnesium people. If it is replaced by the Dongda team, it will definitely be faster and more efficient. At this moment, Xiao Yu looked at the 11 o'clock direction near the destination. There was a very large storage center built there, and the location was just right to be directly transmitted to the warehouse through the teleportation star gate. 3.3 million tons of grain have been stored here, and they are stored in 45 standard warehouses, each of which stores more than 70,000 tons of grain. The storage center is also fully armed and guarded by a mercenary team. A large number of African refugees and civilians have gathered around it. Because they heard that they can get food here, many people gather here. Xiao Yu retracted his gaze and thought to himself, it seems that it will take a long time to move it. After staying for a few minutes again, Xiao Yu left and opened the teleportation star gate in an unmanned corner to the Blue Star World. He first prepared a receiving warehouse in the Blue Star World. The location was not in Fengquan City, but in another place, but it was still in the territory of the Kingdom of Heaven and was convenient for red tide transportation. Fortunately, there was a huge difference in the speed of time between the two worlds. Xiao Yu was not in a hurry to prepare to receive the warehouse in the Blue Star world. He did it steadily and slowly, and then returned to Earth Africa to move the goods after it was done. After more than half a month of tossing in the Blue Star world, it was finally done. Xiao Yu did not hesitate and immediately teleported back to Earth again, and chose to do it at night. In one of the standard warehouses in the local grain storage center in Africa, Xiao Yu was in it at the moment, and the teleportation stargate remained open. The robot began to move the grain in the warehouse on a large scale, mainly through the conveyor belt. The efficiency was also very fast. A standard warehouse with more than 70,000 tons of grain could be emptied in about 40 minutes. It will take about 2 to 3 nights to complete. This storage center has about 3.3 million tons of grain. Xiao Yu did not plan to empty it all, so he first took 2 million tons to the Blue Star world. When Xiao Yu was wandering around here, he saw with his own eyes the refugees in Africa, especially some children who suffered from hunger and became skin and bones. This scene moved him with some compassion. As long as it did not affect his core purpose, Xiao Yu also decided to really give some food to these refugees. In fact, although the current level of technological productivity on Earth is far less than that of the Blue Star world, the global grain output is definitely enough to feed everyone on Earth, but in fact there are still hundreds of millions of people facing hunger around the world. This situation is not caused by natural disasters, but by man-made disasters, and the 4 major grain traders in Europe and magnesium, who control the global grain transportation and marketing, must bear the main responsibility. Chapter 272, Fire Settlement. This recently established grain storage center was guarded by fully armed mercenaries, but they were completely unaware that the grain in the warehouse was rapidly decreasing. However, it was not the fault of these useless mercenaries. After all, Xiao Yu had already made arrangements through his stand-in Peter Vedas before the operation to ensure that no one would come to inspect the grain in the warehouse during the transfer, and the monitoring system was also covered. In a sense, it was also an operation of stealing by the insider. The mercenaries stationed there could never have dreamed that the grain would disappear, even though the entrances were so narrow that not even a mosquito could fly in. By the middle of the 3rd day, a full 2 million tons of grain had been successfully transferred to the Blue Star world. It's finally done. Xiao Yu, who was in one of the standard warehouses, breathed a sigh of relief and looked at the time. It was 3:30 a.m. local time at this moment. As the handling tools were collected by the robot and crossed the teleportation stargate to the Blue Star world, the next last robot arranged a special item in this warehouse, and then also crossed the teleportation stargate to the Blue Star world. Xiao Yu followed closely behind, and the teleportation stargate was closed. The grain in this warehouse was basically emptied. It is worth mentioning that Xiao Yu did not empty the grain in every warehouse, but still left a small part. A few minutes later, Xiao Yu came back from the Blue Star world through the teleportation stargate. At this moment, he looked in the direction of the storage center in the night, and suddenly took out a small mobile remote control, which was a product of the Blue Star world. Xiao Yu pressed a button on the small remote control without hesitation. In less than a minute, a raging fire suddenly broke out in the distant grain storage center. The mercenaries stationed there immediately became chaotic, sounded the alarm, and began to rush to put out the fire. Leaving a little grain in each warehouse is to pave the way for this fire. At that time, some residues can be found to explain that the grain in the warehouse was burned by fire, including the 2 million tons of grain that were moved away. Of course, it also includes the burning of all the grain. Only a fire is needed to settle the account and perfectly cover up the true whereabouts of these 2 million tons of grain. At this moment, Xiao Yu looked at the flames rising from the storage center and murmured in his heart, "There are still 1.3 million tons left." How much can be left depends on God's will. No matter how much is left, Xiao Yu decided to distribute the remaining food to the locals who were suffering from famine after the fire. Finally, Xiao Yu opened the teleportation stargate in an unmanned corner and disappeared in the African land. After transiting through the Blue Star world, he teleported himself to the underground secret base in Linsao City. Xiao Yu took off the head disguise leather cover of the European magnesium face and threw it to a robot next to him. After about 3 days of tossing, 2 million tons of grain have been successfully transported to the Blue Star world, but Xiao Yu has not planned to go there yet. He will stay on Earth for a while. Because of such a big thing, the grain storage center in Africa has caught fire. This matter will definitely be reported to Peter Vidas urgently. Xiao Yu has already tested and confirmed that if the original body and the incarnation are not on the same world, the incarnation will be disconnected from the original body. Or keep the teleportation gate open during this period, so that the two worlds are connected through the teleportation gate, and the incarnation will not be disconnected from the original body. However, Xiao Yu did not plan to keep the teleportation gate open for a long time. He tried to avoid doing this operation as much as possible. So before going to the Blue Star world, he had to control his substitute Peter Vidas and other subordinates to urgently report the news of the fire in the grain storage in Africa. Sure enough, not long after the fire started, Peter Vidas's men called in the middle of the night to report the matter. His men knew that Peter Vidas attached great importance to charity, so they did not dare to neglect it. Moreover, the loss was huge this time, and the specific loss would have to wait until the fire was extinguished before it could be assessed. The storage center stores more than 3.3 million tons of grain. According to the current price of $400 per ton, these more than 3.3 million tons of grain cost $1.32 billion, plus the storage center cost $300 million. The theoretical maximum loss can reach $1.62 billion, which is not a small amount. Xiao Yu controlled his stand-in Peter Vidas to issue instructions for emergency treatment as planned. The next day, many foreign media organizations reported the news of a sudden fire in the storage center established by the Peter Vidas Charity Foundation in Africa. Some media pointed out that the sudden fire has conservatively estimated to have caused direct losses of $1 billion. Then that afternoon, Xiao Yu controlled his stand-in Peter Vidas to hold a press conference to confirm that the outside reports were true. An unknown fire broke out in the storage center. The fire has been extinguished and the cause of the accident is under investigation. According to preliminary statistics, only about 700,000 tons of the 3.3 million tons of grain escaped. Peter Vidas announced at the press conference that the remaining 2.6 million tons of grain had been engulfed by the fire, with losses exceeding $1 billion. He also announced at the press conference that the remaining 700,000 tons of grain would be distributed to the local hungry people immediately, and that the fire accident would not shake his determination to do charity. Then, a number of mainstream media in the West reported on this extensively, and many praised Peter Vidas as a great philanthropist and gave him all kinds of compliments. It took about 2.5 days for Xiao Yu to control his stand-in Peter Vidas to arrange the post-fire accident, and then he was ready to go to the Blue Star world. The next day, at night in the Eastern Hemisphere, the stand-in Peter Vidas fell asleep. Xiao Yu, who was in the underground secret base, also opened the teleportation star gate and came to the Blue Star world again, appearing in the private villa he bought in Fenquin City in the Kingdom of Heaven. There is a 500-fold difference in the flow rate of time between the two worlds. If it hadn't taken about half a Blue Star moon to deal with the placement of about 2 million tons of grain in the Blue Star world, it would have only been half a day since Xiao Yu and Yan Lingjun last parted. Counting the time spent on the placement of the 2 million tons of grain, only half a month has passed in the Blue Star world. Half a month has passed, the time should be reasonable, and we can meet, Xiao Yu thought to himself, nodded to himself, and immediately sent a message to Yan Lingjun. At the same time, Yan Lingjun, who was at Prism Company, received a message from Xiao Yu, and her pretty face suddenly showed joy. She immediately put down her work, gave a few simple instructions to her assistant, and left the company, heading directly to Xiao Yu's private residence. When Yan Lingjun entered the villa and saw Xiao Yu opening the door for him, her pretty face showed surprise again, and she couldn't help but say, "You came in person." As soon as this was said, Xiao Yu was surprised and asked with some curiosity, "How did you know?" Obviously, Xiao Yu admitted this. Yan Lingjun in front of him suddenly glanced at his wrist and looked at him again, smiling and saying, "The bracelet ornament on your wrist, I saw you often wear it before, but your avatar didn't have that bracelet last time." Xiao Yu suddenly realized that he hadn't noticed this detail. It seems that he will have to imitate some similar bracelet ornaments in the future to avoid making mistakes in the details. "Since it's your real body, then Yan Lingjun took a step forward and closed the distance with him. Her eyes looked straight at Xiao Yu. Her words and deeds exuded an indescribable charming and moving color. In this situation, what she wanted was self-evident. Facing Yan Lingjun's eager and expectant eyes, Xiao Yu knew what the first thing they had to do when they met this time. Xiao Yu did not hesitate, picked up Yan Lingjun and went into the house. Chapter 273, N800 Technology Obtained. Afterwards, Yan Lingjun quietly nestled in Xiao Yu's arms. Her cheeks still had a faint blush, and the corners of her mouth unconsciously raised, as if she was wearing a smile that was so sweet that it was almost overflowing. She closed her eyes slightly, and her embroidered eyebrows occasionally trembled slightly, as if she was still immersed in the dreamlike beauty just now. It was so hot, so intoxicating. Yan Lingjun's fingers unconsciously slid gently on Xiao Yu's chest, feeling the other's heartbeat. After a while, she slowly opened her eyes, and her watery pair of charming eyes looked back, soft and charming. She looked at Xiao Yu silently, and their sights intertwined, and the two smiled at each other as if they had a telepathic connection. Yan Lingjun looked at him, her eyes full of tenderness and attachment, and the look she gave him seemed to hide the stars in the sky. At this moment, she felt that she was filled with an unprecedented sense of happiness, like a soul that had been wandering for a long time, and finally found a warm harbor. After this day, the relationship between the two of them has once again achieved a qualitative leap. Finally, after a warm and tender moment, Yan Lingjun came out of her state and began to talk about business. She looked at Xiao Yu and said, "During the time you were away, I talked to the central headquarters about your plan to establish a force in the southwest. The headquarters also attached great importance to this and conducted special discussions and research." Hearing this, Xiao Yu asked back, "What is the attitude of your headquarters?" The last time he parted with Yan Lingjun, the two sides communicated about this matter, and Xiao Yu agreed to let Yan Lingjun inform her organization of this matter. Because if this matter can get the support of the Red Tide, it will be much easier to handle. Yan Lingjun smiled and said, "It is basically consistent with your analysis at the time. The central headquarters has a supportive attitude and will provide some help within its capacity. As long as the basic values and concepts can be maintained in a consistent manner, even if you want to establish a country in that place, we will not object and will provide necessary support, the so-called values and concepts, in other words, our ideologies." The most fundamental reason why the Blue Star Red Tide has such an attitude is that they are still in a weak position. They also hope that there will be a force that can share some of the pressure, but there has been no such force until now, because their values and ideas are irreconcilable with the mainstream of the current Blue Star world. In other words, their enemies are not just a powerful kingdom of heaven, but also the ruling groups of the continents outside Hongzhou. The current ruling groups in the Blue Star world have the same ideology. Under the current situation of the Blue Star world, if there can be another force that rises, and its values and ideas are consistent with the Red Tide will definitely be happy to see it. Xiao Yu nodded after hearing this. The Red Tide's attitude did not surprise him too much, because the current situation in the Blue Star world objectively destined that the Red Tide would definitely support it. Don't be impatient. It's too early to talk about establishing a country now. The road still needs to be taken step by step, Xiao Yu said in a deep voice. Governing a country is completely different from running a business. Xiao Yu glanced at Yan Lingjun and smiled. "Anyway, this matter is handed over to you. You can make the full decision. You guy, you are thinking of being a hands-off boss before Yingdu has even started, right?" Yan Lingjun couldn't help but be angry when she heard this, but she said this with a sweet smile on her face, because in her heart, she thought that this was Xiao Yu's unreserved trust in her. Xiao Yu really trusted her absolutely, and was not afraid of being sidelined, because after all, in Xiao Yu's worldview, the earth was his home. Even if he was really sidelined, it would not be to the point of the sky falling for Xiao Yu, so he could naturally give Yan Lingjun his unreserved trust and let her help him develop his power in the Blue Star world. At the end, Yan Lingjun suddenly smiled mysteriously. "There is another good news to tell you." Seeing her like this, Xiao Yu couldn't help but ask curiously, "What news?" Yan Lingjun didn't keep him in suspense, and immediately told him directly, "The headquarters learned that you want to develop in the southwest area. After internal discussions, it was finally decided to give you the entire set of N800 nano-arm technology systems in advance, and on this basis, we will also assist you with a batch of nanoparticles that have been produced." After these words came out, Xiao Yu couldn't help but be excited, which made him feel very surprised, but on second thought, it was reasonable. Because Xiao knew that Xiao Yu wanted to develop his own power, and he had long known about his relationship with Yan Lingjun, Xiao was also happy to see Xiao Yu grow rapidly. Moreover, the N800 nano-arm technology was originally the bargaining chip for the cooperation between the two parties. It would be given sooner or later, so it would be better to give it earlier, which could also highlight the courtesy first. And because he knew that Xiao Yu wanted to develop his own power, Xiao misinterpreted why Xiao Yu declined the invitation to join, and why he wanted organic body technology and N800 nano-arm technology. It turns out that Xiao Yu wanted to start his own business. This was not the case, but from Xiao's perspective, this logic was the most reasonable. Otherwise, why did he decline the invitation? Why did he need these two key technologies? After all, they would never have thought that Xiao Yu was an alien. If they interpreted it this way, Xiao Yu would neither admit nor deny it, which would just cover up the fact that he was an alien, which was something Xiao Yu would like to see. At this moment, Yan Lingjin suddenly said, "Wait a minute." After that, she got up from Xiao Yu's arms and looked around the room for her own clothes. She soon saw the clothes thrown on the ground, picked them up, and walked slowly to Xiao Yu's side. After a while, Yan Lingjin took out a mobile data disk from her clothes, handed it to Xiao Yu and said, "The complete set of technical information of the N800 nano weapon is all in this data disk. With it, you can create N800 nano weapon from scratch." Xiao Yu was not polite and took it. He couldn't help but say, "I didn't expect it to be so smooth. This is one of the masterpieces representing the highest level of technology in the current Blue Star world. I thought it would take a lot of trouble to obtain it." Yan Lingjin next to him looked at the data disk in his hand and said, "The headquarters has handed it to me 10 days ago, and I will hand it to you in person when I see you. The other batch of additional nanoparticle products for you is not with me, but since you have come to Fenquin City, I will report to the headquarters later and it should be handed over to you soon." Xiao Yu nodded, "Well, no problem. Oh, by the way, in addition to this, we will also provide you with a complete set of N800 nano-arm production equipment. Although you can handle it with complete technical information, it is still very troublesome. You can only get it from some channels in the Kingdom of Heaven, and the flow of related equipment is extremely strictly controlled by the Kingdom of Heaven, and there are great potential risks." Yan Lingjin added, "But the headquarters also has its own secret production line for equipment. Instead of letting you take the risk of getting it through the channels of the Kingdom of Heaven, it is better to arrange it for you more thoroughly." Xiao Yu smiled and said, "That's thoughtful." Yan Lingjin continued, "Not only is the manufacturing process of the N800 nano weapon extremely demanding, but the energy consumption required for its production is also huge, and the production efficiency is also very low. In addition, after each battle of the nano warriors, the nanoparticles whose structures are damaged need to be replaced and resupplied. The production capacity is not high, and the consumption is not low, which is also the reason why it cannot be equipped on a large scale." Chapter 274, Can You Still Be Jealous of a Robot? The growth of the N800 nano-armed warriors under the Blue Star Red Tide is very slow, not because of a lack of manpower, but rather because of the secondary human factor. The main reason is that the production capacity cannot keep up, because the consumption of the battles on the front line is inevitable. The current situation is equivalent to the output of 10 sets, of which 8 sets of nanoparticles are needed to supply the existing nano-warriors. Minus the part needed for the supply, it is equivalent to only adding 2 nano-armed super warriors. Even though the Kingdom of Heaven has more resources and its absolute output is much larger than that of the Red Tide, in fact, the total scale of the Kingdom of Heaven's nano-armed super warriors is not growing fast, because the Kingdom of Heaven consumes more. I have good news for you too. Xiao Yu put away the data disk, turned his head and looked at Yan Lingjin and said with a smile, "I didn't come empty-handed this time. After many twists and turns, I finally transported the first batch of food supplies out." Yan Lingjin's eyes lit up when he heard this. "So fast? How much food did you bring?" Xiao Yu held up 2 fingers, and Yan Lingjin immediately said, "At least 200,000 tons. After saying that, she saw Xiao Yu shook his head, and couldn't help but say again, "It won't be 500,000 tons. Xiao Yu looked at her and smiled. "No more, no less. A full 2 million tons of grain and food supplies." Yan Lingjin was shocked when she heard this number. Oh my god, so much? She didn't doubt that Xiao Yu could get so much food supplies, but was surprised that he could get 2 million tons in such a short time. It's not surprising that Yan Lingjin was so surprised. After all, it was less than a month since she and Xiao Yu last parted. In fact, Xiao Yu spent more than a year on Earth to prepare these 2 million tons of food. He spent so much time mainly to wait for the rise of his substitute Peter Vitas. Later, he could get the same amount, which would take less than half a year. At this time, Yan Lingjin asked, "Where are these food supplies placed now? You didn't take them to Fenquin City, did you? That would be troublesome." Xiao Yu rolled his eyes at her and said, "How is that possible? Do you think it's 200 tons? It's impossible to hide a full 2 million tons in such a big city. Even if they can get in, I'm afraid they can't get out." Having said that, Xiao Yu skillfully drew a line in the air, and a holographic floating display screen appeared where his gesture passed, and then he said, "This batch of food supplies have been placed at the coordinates marked on the map. Each coordinate position has about 200,000 to 300,000 tons. Yan Lingjin looked at the coordinates marked on the map on the screen, and then tilted his head to glance at Xiao Yu. "You placed them all in the wild and uninhabited area." Xiao Yu nodded, and Yan Lingjin looked at the holographic screen again and couldn't help saying, "This is much easier, and the location you chose is very conducive to the organization sending people to receive it. In the current blue planet world, unless it is an area where humans gather, the wild is basically uninhabited. There are no humans or animals, only some microorganisms. Because the concentration of carbon dioxide in the blue planet atmosphere is too high, humans and animals cannot breathe the air in the wild for a long time, otherwise they will be poisoned by carbon dioxide. It manifests as symptoms of brain hypoxia, which may cause reflex respiratory arrest and sudden death. Under normal circumstances, the carbon dioxide content in the gas exhaled by the human body is about 4.2%, and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the blood is higher than the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the alveoli. Therefore, the carbon dioxide in the blood can diffuse in the alveoli. However, if the concentration of carbon dioxide in the environment is too high, the concentration in the alveoli will also increase, and the pH will change, thereby stimulating the respiratory center, and eventually leading to paralysis of the respiratory center, causing the body to suffer from hypoxia and suffocation. But at this moment, Xiao Yu immediately replied as soon as she finished speaking, "Although I have camouflaged the environment for the placement of those food supplies, and it is difficult for orbital satellites to detect them, it is better to ask your organization to send people to transport them away as soon as possible." Yan Lingjin nodded, "Well, I'll send the message now." After that, he stood up and gathered his clothes, but Yan Lingjin suddenly frowned. "Oh no, I can't wear the clothes without washing them." She found that many parts of her clothes were wet, which was obviously the best evidence of the previous tossing. Yan Lingjin tilted his head and looked at Xiao Yu with a resentful and strange voice. "It's all your fault." Xiao Yu couldn't help but laugh and said, "Oh, how would I know that you are like water?" Yan Lingjin rolled his eyes at him unhappily when he heard this. Xiao Yu immediately said, "It's not a big problem. There are women's clothes at home. You can change into a set temporarily when you go out." However, as soon as these words came out, Yan Lingjin's face changed slightly, and he stared at Xiao Yu with a bad look. "What did you just say?" Xiao Yu hurriedly said, "It's size 18 clothes." Upon learning that it was the clothes of robot butler number 18, Yan Lingjin's expression eased, but she suddenly changed her mind, as if she thought of something, so she stared at Xiao Yu again with a bad look and said, "Tell me the truth, have you done that with number 18? Xiao Yu was a little amused. "Ah, are you jealous of the robot? Besides, we didn't confirm our relationship before." Hearing Xiao Yu say this, although there was no direct answer, Yan Lingjin knew that he must have done it, and most likely not once or twice, but n times. Yan Lingjin snorted and said with a serious face, "Let's let bygones be bygones, but from now on you are not allowed to do that with number 18 again." Xiao Yu looked at Yan Lingjin and suddenly said with a smile, "What can't robots do? And number 18 can help you share the firepower. I think that's good. To be honest, you were obviously no match for me just now." Xiao Yu definitely didn't dare to say this in front of the robot beauty housekeeper number 18. He really couldn't do it. Humans are naturally at a disadvantage when peaking with robots. As long as the robot is fully charged, it will be in a starchy state throughout the process. How can it be possible to beat the robot? However, Yan Lingjin, who had been serious, blushed when she heard his words, but she immediately pretended to be serious and hummed, "There is no need to let number 18 share the burden with me. It's just because this is my first experience and I feel unfamiliar with it." Hearing this, Xiao Yu looked at her and asked, "So, what you mean by this? Can I understand that if some time passes, if you are still not my opponent, then I can?" Yan Lingjin immediately interrupted him, "That's not possible. You guys, don't deliberately distort my meaning here." Xiao Yu shrugged, spread his hands and said, "Then let's wait and see." There will be a day in the future when you will take the initiative to ask number 18 to help share the firepower. Yan Lingjin hummed. Let's wait and see, who's afraid of who? This little episode passed quickly. Yan Lingjin put her clothes aside and went into the bathroom to take a shower. She must take a shower after the tossing and turning just now. Xiao Yu called the robot beauty housekeeper and ordered, "Go get a set of clothes you wear and bring it to Lingjin." The robot beauty housekeeper nodded and said, "Okay, master." After a while, Yan Lingjin came out of the bathroom and changed into a set of clothes that the robot beauty housekeeper usually wore. She looked at her outfit in the mirror and found that the clothes of robot number 18 were quite suitable for her figure. This also shows that Yan Lingjin has a perfect body curve, because the robot beauty housekeeper number 18 is a man-made product, and it was designed according to the perfect body proportions. Finally, Yan Lingjin in front of the mirror looked back and smiled, looking at Xiao Yu and said, "Business is important, then I'll go first." Xiao Yu smiled and nodded. Yan Lingjin turned around leisurely with a slight smile on her lips, but she just took a few steps and turned back to stare at Xiao Yu and pretended to be coquettish. "Don't do that with number 18 behind my back. I know what you want to say next, and you are even more forbidden to do it in front of me." Chapter 275, Mr. Xiao is truly powerful. As Yan Lingjin left, Xiao Yu took out the data disk she gave him, looked at it for a while and then opened it. The next moment, multiple holographic screens appeared in the room and surrounded Xiao Yu. The technical data of the N800 nano armor appeared in front of him. He dragged each holographic floating screen skillfully and browsed the data information on it. The process that can achieve this level at the microscopic level is worthy of being the peak masterpiece of science and technology. Representing the Blue Star world, Xiao Yu couldn't help but sigh subconsciously. He looked at the technical principles on the panel and was also full of amazement. It can be compared like this. The technological process of the N800 nano armor in the Blue Star world is equivalent to the most advanced photolithography manufacturing process in the Earth world. Both can be regarded as representing the most advanced technological process manufacturing level of the civilizations of the two worlds. After a while, Xiao Yu was shocked when he saw one of the data and subconsciously said, "A nano-armored super soldier needs about 100 trillion N800 nanoparticles." Xiao Yu was shocked by this number of magnitude. You should know that the total number of cells in an adult's body is about 40 trillion to 60 trillion, which is already an astronomical figure, but compared with a number of 100 trillion, the two are still 4 orders of magnitude apart. That is, a 10,000 times difference, to be exact, a full 20,000 times difference. If it is 100 trillion human cells, it is equivalent to 20,000 adults. However, N800 nanoparticles are very small, so small that they are 10,000 times smaller than the smallest cell platelet in the human body. Therefore, even if there are 100 trillion nanoparticles, the space occupancy rate is extremely low, enough to accommodate the human blood circulation system, and will not affect the normal human blood circulation. It can be spread throughout the body with a human blood circulation system, which is also the reason why the nano-armament in the body can be completed quickly. N800 nanoparticles are the most basic unit structure of nano-armament and the most core substrate. Just like cells are based on living organisms, the two have similarities. Xiao Yu looked at the technical information on the panel and murmured to himself, "No wonder there are so few nano-super soldiers on the Blue Star world. It takes 100 trillion N800 nanoparticles to arm a human nano-super soldier, and it is also a consumable that needs to be replenished." Even if the productivity of the Blue Star world kills the Earth world in seconds, facing such a terrifying order of magnitude, it is impossible to mass-equip N800 nano-armed soldiers. Moreover, the damaged N800 nanoparticles are directly replaced with new ones. This is not to say that the technological capabilities of the Blue Star world cannot be repaired, but the time cost and economic cost of repairing a damaged N800 nanoparticle far exceed the cost of making a new N800 nanoparticle. This is similar to the high-end chips on the Earth side. There are only second-hand chips and old goods, and there are no fake and counterfeit brands. A small CPU contains hundreds of millions of transistors, and its manufacturing process is so complicated that if a small workshop can copy and imitate such a product, it will undoubtedly be on par with industry giants such as Qualcomm and Huawei. Therefore, in reality, counterfeit CPU products do not exist. Only the so-called secondary packaging and fake box packaging exists. This kind of product is to equip the bulk CPU with a fan, and then put it into a discarded packaging box, which is inferior to the good one, but the quality of this kind of CPU is no different from the original factory production, but the warranty period is short. At this moment, Xiao Yu looked at it for a while and then closed all the holographic panels. He looked at the data disk in his hand again, and muttered to himself, "It seems that the underground secret base on the other side of the Earth needs to continue to be excavated to make room for a larger area." 2 days later, the Red Tide Central Headquarters. Yan Lingjun came to the headquarters in person to make a report, because this matter is serious, and it is safer to report in person. "Are you serious? Mr. Xiao has already transported 2 million tons of food supplies." Zhang Xingyuan sat up in shock and looked at Yan Lingjun, who was reporting to him. The latter nodded affirmatively. "The supplies are placed at these coordinates and can be received at any time." After speaking, Yan Lingjun immediately called up a holographic floating panel, marked the coordinates of the placement of this batch of food supplies, and signaled to Zhang Xingyuan. "Good. Good," Zhang Xingyuan applauded and was very excited. He couldn't help but say, "Mr. Xiao is really powerful. Not only can he prepare 2 million tons of food supplies in such a short time, but he can also transport them to the field for placement. Moreover, these locations are far away from the enemy-occupied areas, which is very convenient for us to receive." It is worth mentioning that the spies of the Red Tide inside the Heavenly Kingdom actually tried to investigate Xiao Yu. In their opinion, Xiao Yu must have a close relationship with the top ruling group of the Heavenly Kingdom. But there is no such person, no information, as if he does not exist. Zhang Xingyuan and others, on the contrary, believe that Xiao Yu has a way to get through the Heavenly Kingdom and is definitely not an ordinary person. Later, after learning about the relationship between Yan Lingjun and Xiao Yu, they stopped investigating Xiao Yu. The two sides are already in a state of deep cooperation. In order to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings and maintain strategic mutual trust in the cooperation between the two sides, they will no longer investigate Xiao Yu. "Boss, the most urgent task is to take over the 2 million tons of food supplies and transport them back as soon as possible." Xiao Yu said that he does not have too many garrison forces to protect the food supplies. If they are discovered by the enemy, they may send super soldiers to destroy them, Yan Lingjun said. "That makes sense. I am also worried that things will change if we delay." Zhang Xingyuan nodded and immediately looked up at the door. "Adjutant." Zhang Xingyuan immediately issued an order to send a logistics transport brigade to the resettlement site to transport the food supplies back, and directly sent a 5-member team of N-800 nano-armed super soldiers to escort them. The combat power of super soldiers is off the charts. Each of them is a person who can defeat thousands of enemies. It is not easy to be exposed if there are few people. However, when they are armed with nano-armor outside their bodies, they are just like ordinary people and cannot be seen as super soldiers at all. This also shows how much Zhang Xingyuan attaches importance to this. He also informed several core central officials of the Red Tide of this matter. After hearing the news, they were all very excited. A full 2 million tons of food supplies, if calculated according to the current market price within the Kingdom of Heaven, the value of raw grains is more expensive than artificially synthesized starch. The food in the star world is a scarce and expensive property created by humans. According to the current market price, the price of 1 kilogram of food is about 582 star yuan, and 1 ton is 1.164 million star yuan. Calculated at this price, 2 million tons of food supplies is 2.328 trillion star yuan, which is undoubtedly an astronomical figure. Even if it is calculated based on the consumption of 200 kilograms of raw grain per person per year, these 2 million tons of food supplies are enough for a population of 10 million for 1 year. It is not surprising that Zhang Xingyuan and other key members of the Red Tide Central Committee were greatly excited when they heard the news, because with this batch of food, they can quickly raise an army of 1 million people. With food, they can have a basis for appeal among the lower beings, not to mention the grain seeds with breeding ability. Moreover, Xiao Yu promised to provide them with 2 million tons of ready-made raw grains every year. There were doubts before, but now there is no doubt. On the one hand, there are a large number of ready-made food supplies to solve the urgent problem, and on the other hand, there are grain seeds with breeding capacity to provide a long-term guarantee. With a double blessing, the appeal of the organization is completely different from the past. The confidence of the entire Red Tide in this revolutionary cause has doubled, and the boost to the morale of all members is unprecedented. And because of the special relationship between Yan Lingjun and Xiao Yu, she has also been highly valued within the organization. Zhang Xingyan and others are happy to see that she can be combined with Xiao Yu. Under the current situation, it is a huge help to the Red Tide. This is an objective fact. If it were not for this special relationship, it would never be so smooth to open up such a good situation. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.